Well, hello.
Hello, buddy.
Hey,
Nice to hear your voice again.
it's good to hear your voice. Look at these wood paneled combo things we got going on.
Ah, yeah. I've got kind of the light wood. You've got like the a dark kind of mahogany thing going on.
I'm very mahogany these days.
I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Welcome to my
good.
new studio space. It is
Dude,
a
looking
mess,
good.
but I love it.
Well, you've got slanted walls. I think that there's something about that for productivity. Slants.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's all downhill from here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Attic vibes. Nice, man.
Well, heck yeah, cool shirt. I was
Oh,
having trouble choosing a shirt for today, and so I just went with an old standard.
the
And
classic. I've seen you in your 9:30 club shirt before.
yep. Now 9:30 is like forever after I wake up.
Right. Yeah.
I was finishing my 15-mile bike ride around 9:30 today.
Yeah, so you were when we were talking about a time for today, you're like, "Well, my day starts at 5:4." How did you phrase it? Your
I said
existence starts.
I said the day does start around 5:45 a.m. You're like, I don't know
Right.
if I'll have enough time to get stuff done today before 3 p.m. It's like, well, there's, several hours.
Well,
There's certain
yeah.
insects that have like several life cycles in that amount of time.
If you get up at 5:30 a.m., you can definitely get a lot done before 3. But that
Yes.
is a different existence than the one I live.
I've been pretty lazy these days. 6:15, 6:20 at the
Yeah, wow.
earliest.
Let's check you out. So you're just living that simple farm life now, and you have to get up in the morning to tend to the crops. Is that is that it? I really don't know how it
No,
works.
yes. If the crops mean my fiance and tend mean make coffee, then yes, that is
Okay.
what that is what I'm referring to.
So you're taking care of her so she can go and do the
And
farming.
then I do whatever. Normally, I've been trying to get yoga in before she leaves, and then I have a push mower, like a
Okay.
non-powered. So I do my whole yard with that. It takes usually around 2 different mornings, um, about once a week or so. It's probably going to be a little less once I get it under
Okay.
control and it stops raining as much. But
Yeah.
that's been a good workout and kind of gets me moving, makes me like doing stuff, kind of
Yeah.
gets things swinging.
Yeah, good for you, man. Hey, an early start. I've been trying to get up at 10 a.m. as opposed to 11, so
That's
that's
great. That gives you an hour before Price is Right. That's plenty of time.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Well, cool. I'm really excited about Karina today. I was listening to
Yeah.
a podcast on with her, and then some of her other ones that she's been doing, and I'm excited to talk with her. So
Yeah,
should
me
we?
too. Yeah, yeah. Were you listening to the? I was checking out the 3 from 7 podcast.
Yes,
That
yes.
one was new to me, so yeah, I'm interested to talk to her about
Yeah, I
that.
was trying to figure out a way to not ask the like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I literally wrote, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I'm like, that's a dumb question. So we can do what are 3 of your biggest stories from the last 7 years, and what will be 3 of your next biggest stories over the next 7 years? So we kind of tie that
I
in.
like that. I think that's a clever flip. You gotta. You know what? It's like people and listeners, they don't want to hear the same questions. You know what I mean? They don't want to. Everyone's got to. It's not. How'd you start playing your instrument? It's like.
Right, and there's some level of like going over certain things that people haven't heard, like
Right.
getting those basics in there. But if
I think
anyone's
we're in.
listening
Yeah,
and
we're
wants to check out Andy Frasco's podcast with her, that
Oh
gets
yeah.
into a lot of that stuff if we don't get into it. But
That's a good point. So you can cry. It's like we. If you want to find out about somebody, you can find out about their history. You can look into it and check it out. But I think
right,
for now, I mean, we're existing in a very interesting time.
yeah.
So for me, it's more interesting to talk about what musicians are doing now.
And I,
And
I think we there's so many people out there we can reach out to, but I think there's certain people we're gonna definitely bring back, once or twice,
yeah,
and she's definitely gonna be someone we check in with regularly. I hope.
yeah, she's a very interesting person and has a lot of projects always
I
moving.
think she's
So
only 26.
wow. Well, that can be our first question.
Yes, I was gonna ask.
26.
Well, because I couldn't find certain information, because like Marco Benevento has a Wikipedia page, but she doesn't. So I was wondering when
Right.
she graduated college,
Okay.
but we could find that out together.
Let's find out together on
All right, I'm gonna
Journey of
send her this
Discovery.
email and
Great.
see if she's been frantically refreshing for the last 10 minutes because I said 3.
Hopefully not. Hopefully she understands how I operate. She doesn't, but you
I
do.
was I was hoping that you were just gonna throw me under the bus and be like, yeah, no, Ben can't do Tuesday. How's Thursday?
No,
I miss you.
I miss you too, buddy. I'm glad that we're getting it rolling again. And to everybody who's been asking questions, it was a little bit of a brief pause. We had a lot going on. You were moving.
Yep.
I've had a lot of recording projects, but Back to Basics is back to
Yep.
basics.
And we'll
We're gonna
talk more
be
about our projects after as well.
absolutely.
Want to get into that, find out how
Yeah.
your drive-ins went, and
Yeah. Likewise, man. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But yeah, we got some exciting new guests on the way, and so we're gonna keep churning out the episodes. So, stay involved, recommend the podcast to your friends, and I love my Basset Hound.
you love your Basset Hound.
It says right here on the mug.
Oh, that's true. Well, can't argue with that. Honestly, if you want something ensconced for all eternity, you put it on a mug, and like
Yeah.
feel like people will find it in the shards of glass, like in Pompeii, and oh well, this society really loved basset hounds. So make your mark now. Get it on a mug.
I mean, they say that the internet is written in ink, not pencil, but maybe one day the internet will just be erased. Hopefully social media will be, and then everything will just be coffee mugs.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh,
What's up, Karina?
how's it going, guys?
Excellent. Good to see you.
Good. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome to the virtual space known as Back2Bassics.
I love it. It's fantastic. It looks great. It's great to be here. This is great.
We're mixing it up. You have a very nice light blue and white background. It mixes up our wood panelings. Gives us a little
I like the
variety here.
geometry going on in there. That's really cool.
I'm in a little, the loft area in the apartment. Like, if you look down,
Oh.
Yeah.
it's a lookout below situation. I don't know what you can see or not, but
Yeah, I see the whole thing. That's really cool.
totally.
So where are you at, Karina? Is this the place that I was checking out some of your drone videos of you jamming out with your band by the pool? Is this that estate?
This is not that estate. That
Okay.
estate was very good to me and to all of us for the majority of this fucked up time. But
Cool, yeah.
we were there for like 3.5 straight months, which
Wow.
is insane. It's like the longest I've ever been out of New York City
Wow.
when I'm not on tour, of course.
Yeah.
There's that. But that's my best friend's country house, basically.
Cool.
And so we were up there, 7 of us in a little commune since March 13th. And then the last, I want to say 3 weeks, maybe getting close to a month, been back in the city. And this is Williamsburg, Brooklyn, right here.
All right.
So the
Tight.
Brooklyn Bowl is just a stone's throw that direction.
Oh,
So
cool. Love
The next-
Williamsburg.
Next time we want to smoke weed backstage at the Brooklyn Bowl, we go to your house instead, because that's
Come here.
still not allowed.
Here. Yeah, exactly. Remember that. You remember that. May there be a time again where that can happen.
Where we can not be able to smoke weed backstage at a venue, because
Exactly. But now you know who to call. It'll be great.
there you go.
Right.
There you go.
Come to the locked space. It's great. It's all
This
good.
is why we have guests on Back to Podcast.
Exactly.
It's really just we can find different hang spots in the cities when we're back on the road to go and smoke.
Well,
It
you would
makes
have been. You would have been a perfect, back in the day when we were first touring Pigeons, we would do the divide and conquer at set breaks. We'd be like, all right, we don't want to have to pay for a hotel, one tiny one for all 4 of us to be in there. So just go out and make friends. And, hey, what's going on? You enjoy the show? Like, you have any couches? Usually we'd leave a little bit of space between those questions. But, you would be ideal because we could go straight there and,
It would work great, and you'd be welcome anytime. It all works out. That's funny. Did it work more often than not?
It sure did, although, and I think he was, not necessarily going to be in this life forever anyway, but our drummer eventually moved on to his own real estate type of passions, which I guess he was so tired of staying at other people's houses he wanted to buy his own.
That sometimes you gotta let them go when they're ready to leave.
Yeah. But no, it did work out great. We gained some very good friends and fans, and you hit the town, some small place in Kentucky, and you don't know anyone, and by the end you have 2 or 3 super fans in that area that'll spread the word for next time.
I think that's a good way to do it. And in Marco's band, I joined the band after this period of time, but everybody always loves to tell me about back 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't even know, when he would announce from the stage, he'd be like, "Oh, thanks so much, everybody. By the way, we're looking for a place to stay tonight. So if anybody has, a spot with, maybe a hot tub or whatever."
There you go.
And
So
he
he was going for it.
Oh yeah, and famously there was one tour where they did that for 2 weeks straight. Every night he found a new crash spot for the whole band.
Wow.
And there are great stories about the old bass player, Mr. Dave Drywitz, sleeping on a dog bed or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, I slept in a kitchen, a very small kitchen in a college town. Never accept spots in college towns from college students. Greg stayed in the one big room, but the whole room had kitty litter all over the floor. I guess the cat hated it and would just knock it everywhere. So I just moved the big giant trash can out of the kitchen and just curled up. And I think around then we stopped asking as much and let's get a hotel room.
That'll probably do it. All it takes is one experience like that, and for you to be like, this is great, but maybe we don't do it this way. I don't know.
Yeah. Some experiences are shiny at a certain age, and then they start to dull over time. But
Totally. But they all build character. It's a good thing.
That's what it is. Sure, we all went through it. The
having
kitty
not
litter thing is kind of like the breaking point, though. For when we were asking for crash spots, it's like, do you have a cat? Is there kitty litter? And if the answer is yes, it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
Totally.
Although having not toured for a while, I'd maybe even consider getting a fitful night's sleep on a kitty litter floor just to tour again?
Oh, right now I would do I can't even tell you what I would do. I would do the most ratchet shit, no problem.
Sleep suspended off of a bridge for,
yeah, no, I would sleep on the street. I would be like, hey, is it cool if we just like pull into your house and like sleep on the grass, like, kind of in the front.
That time of year, I hear New York City might be having their schools outside for a little bit.
That I have heard that. That would be some kind of a solution to something, I don't know. So
I guess it's kind of what bands are doing with the drive-in shows.
Exactly. We gotta, keeping it outdoors is allegedly kind of a thing that lessens the spread.
Where was the state you stayed at?
Rhinebeck, New York,
Okay.
which is Hudson Valley. It's yeah.
Hudson Valley is the shit. Hey, Karina, have you ever been to Applehead Studios?
I have. I recorded a live record there with Marco. Yeah, we have
the Woodstock sessions.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome is that place?
That place rules. How about you remember the huge pig?
Hell yeah!
So dope, right?
I would have coffee with him in the morning. I'd just be chilling this big ass pig.
Dude, this is for people tuning in to this fine program. This pig was I couldn't even tell you how large this pig is. And I'm from Manhattan, so I don't really know exactly how big a pig is supposed to be. But
you literally couldn't wrap your mind around it.
Enormous pig. You wouldn't even believe what this shit looked like.
Yeah, you would love it, Ben, because it is kind of like on a farm, and there's all the animals. You hang out with the cats, and they've got all these cool little studio animals and stuff there. But,
yeah, Karina, I just moved on to a farm that my fiance started working at in April, right as this all went down. She was working at a grocery store, and I, got home from tour, and I don't really know what's going on. I don't think grocery store is great, and she'd wanted to be a gardener and farmer, and found this job that came with a really affordable farmhouse to live in. We moved in here July 1st, and This is the first podcast, first public showing of it.
That's amazing. From what I can see, it looks gorgeous, and that sounds amazing.
Yeah, these two pictures were stacked up like this, and I figured I would just kind of give a little bit of an ambiance.
A little spread.
My hair buff is covering up the fluorescent light that doesn't even work right now, so making things work. But I have pigs right down the street that we feed. We don't have a compost area yet. We're just starting our garden. We'll be doing that more next year. But I bring pigs all of our vegetable trimmings and toss them out. I've named 2 or 3 of them, but unfortunately they're not the kind to have as pets because they're not staying around too long. But
sure. Wow.
Yeah.
And where is it? What state? Where are you?
So I'm in Maryland. We pigeons met and started in College Park, Maryland, outside of DC.
Sure.
I'm trying to. I know I saw you guys with you in the band at 930 Club. Shout out.
Killer.
With Claypool Lennon Delirium. That was an incredible show.
Oh, cool.
That must have been
that
must have been an incredible experience, and I want to ask you more about Sir Les later on. But
oh yeah, deep cut. That was crazy. That was 4 years ago.
How soon after you joined the band was that? A year or 2?
No, a few months. My first ever gigs with Marco were in April of that year, and those gigs were basically I forget if they were the beginning of September or the end of September.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like they were the end of August. Shit, yeah.
I think it was in August, because I also saw, I think I missed you guys, or maybe I caught the end of it in Philly, but I went to both shows.
Wow.
Claypool Lennon's one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite bands at the time.
Yeah, that's not intimidating at all, right? Getting the gig with Marco, and then you just have to go open for Les Claypool and Sean Lennon.
That was right when the torch got officially passed to me. Dave Drywitz was in the band long before I was and whatever, and he, Ween came back, and J-Rad was happening at a very high volume level, whatever you want to call it, and he was like, I just can't keep up doing all of this. Karina, it's your gig now.
Wow.
And before that whole summer, it was he'll do a couple, and then when he can't, I'll do a couple. I was basically just his sub, and then I became
your understudy.
I was the understudy, and then I became full-time at the Claypool Lennon gigs, which there were just 2 of them, the ones that you just mentioned, and yeah, I was shitting myself like that.
Well, I was
we can relate, right?
I was in a similar position because you sounded great up there and it looked great. I'm like, Dad, if she can do this, I can do anything. Seeing your meteoric rise, and I didn't even realize till today. You were 26 or something?
I'm 26 now. Yeah.
That is crazy. You have had a long and storied career already, and I'm really honored to be talking with you now.
Jesus, I'm really honored to be talking with you guys. That's very kind of you. Wow, we should do this all the time. It's a great, I feel like in this quarantine thing or whatever you want to call it at this point, this like
I call it quarantine.
quarantine.
I call it Quarantino, like Quentin
Quarantine.
Yeah.
Quarantine.
Quarantine. We got to shuck the quarantine. I feel like you start to like, I don't know, because I feel very like tied to what I do, like play bass in front of people, and like not doing that, definitely like you kind of lose like a, I don't know, like I'm like, wait, I'm Karina, I play bass, like I do shit, but like I'm like, do I do shit? I don't fucking know, like what?
Yeah,
You know?
no, it's the same thing, kind of like you so much is defined on what we do so regularly, and it was so hard. I mean, I know you've been touring for a long time, even well before Marco, and you just get so tied up into that and like the whole lifestyle of going off and then coming home, and when you were saying that you were at the estate for 3 months and then you came back and you haven't really been gone from New York aside from touring. When you're touring, you're still kind of partially home. Like I know you're out there, but it's sort of like a holding pattern. Everything kind of holds.
Right.
But when my brother actually did. He was in the Adirondacks at like some art collective with his husband for I guess like a month and a half. Same thing. When New York went down, he just got out of there. Luckily, had a really good time and was lucky enough to have this cool experience. But yeah, you kind of never are away from that home base, and to have this time to actually be in it, and especially moving. And I never really had a music space set up. I had a smaller apartment, and when this all started, I took half of my dining room table, which was 20% of my whole apartment, and made it into my little space. And it's been really good to kind of catch up with myself and find out that like what is really going on. I play bass in a band, but like,
Right.
what is Ben?
Totally. It's so interesting and weird, and I feel like, it's just kind of like who knows what the future holds at all, but like, it kind of feels like a very, like, it's obviously an incredibly fucked up time, but it's also kind of a very special and singular time to kind of like slow down a little bit, be like, okay, like you're more than what you do per se, but also like, I don't know, I have definitely trouble being like, right, like I do stuff like that makes me, but I'm also just me. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to describe, but all I'm saying is thank you for being very kind and reminding me of all the dope shit that I used to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, keeping up with what you've been doing from when you were younger, like, would you start touring 2 weeks after you got a guitar, or like just playing out in clubs?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I got my good research. Yeah, I got an electric guitar for my 13th birthday, and like, the famous story was my mom, like, we were at Guitar Center, and like, I was like, they wanted to sell us a gig bag, and my mom was like, she doesn't need a gig bag. Where are you going to take this somewhere? And I was like, I want to take it somewhere. Like, what if I do? She's like, all right, we'll get the gig bag. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm just like, I'm in a band rehearsing like twice a week, gigging, doing the whole 9 at 13. Yeah, totally. And then
60 people on a Tuesday, huh?
Oh, you know it. Yeah, exactly. Swindling everybody, exaggerating the numbers. It's great. It's all great. It's what you do.
It's marketing. That's all it is.
That's, it's still the game we play, right? I don't fucking know. But but totally, yeah. No, things used to be pretty tough. And the Claypool thing, holy shit. No, sorry, I think I'm spiraling out about the Claypool.
No, this is good. I want to make sure we get to that.
Any opportunity to get on Claypool.
Yep.
Right, we're a bunch of bass players. We're talking about Claypool. Like, me, I'm sure like you guys, I mean, growing up, like Les Claypool was like this like god, like
mythical creature. Yeah,
in every way. The voice too, like somehow you're just like, what is this? Like, this is the craziest, like, I love this. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how he does it, but I want to study it and like just like want to be around this all the time. And so when those gigs happened, I was literally like, oh my god, like I am setting up my like pedal board rig, which is like this big, next to his monstrosity of a situation. I'm just like, oh my god, like this is so insane, and it was daunting. Let's definitely call it daunting. I also had like at that point in the Marco band, it was like Marco's amp that we toured with, but it was definitely like a 1x12 speaker.
Yep.
Like not even any juice in the
You're just like walking in like a kid's lunchbox, like, hey guys, it's time for the show.
Like, we're good. Hi, Les. Karina, it's cool. I love you. And
you
yeah,
sounded great.
Did you get a chance to hang with Les at all? Did you guys talk or anything like
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah, totally. And the craziest, like, I get there and I like am in Marco's green room, and then we're just chilling. This is hours before the show, and like I don't expect anything crazy to happen, but then we're just chilling, me, Marco, and his wife Katie, and then in like walks Les, opens the door and he's like, "Hey, Marco," and I'm like, "Oh, shit." And I did not see that coming at all. And he's just like, "I'm looking forward to blah 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 blah," or whatever, you know. And they're just shooting the shit. He's like, "Hey, Les, how are you?" I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." So that blew my mind firstly, but then you know, it's so funny. Marco always does it up green room wise. Like he brings a traveling green room road case with a tube amp and a record player and all this vinyl, and
Oh, cool.
brings up Christmas lights and burns Palo Santo. It's like he's committed to the vibe in a big way.
That's a genius
And
move.
after genius move. And I like to uphold that with my own band as well, because you know we try to make every space a nice livable space for the few hours that you're calling it home for the
Make
night.
the green room feel like home, right? You can
Right.
just relax, and that's such a good idea. You know, it's funny. Like I was talking to, we have a sound engineer that we work with, and he's doing some mixing for us. And his main gig is when he's not out with La Special is with Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg. Considerably better gig. Like he
Different.
goes to, definitely different. Well, I don't know. So Wiz Khalifa is kind of same thing, but Snoop
Yeah, that's
Dogg
fair.
different. But he says that Wiz brings out this giant. He has this huge like cabinet, I guess you could call it, that he brings to the green room, and you open it, and it's just this like multi-panel entertainment center that's got like a PlayStation and like a flat screen TV, and just like it just opens and it's every green room. So he's like when Wiz isn't in there, he's like, I'm just kind of in there chilling playing his PlayStation.
Dude.
And like that's pretty next level. But even just the idea of bringing in like a record player or like some incense, something to make it feel more like home, is such a cool idea.
Dude, I mean, Wiz is on our vibe, or like we're on his vibe. I don't even know. I want everything to do with that, though. We need to upgrade and get the console in there. That'd be special.
Yeah, get that home entertainment cabinet.
You guys should collab and do Wiz Karina.
Yo, that's fire.
Let's make some phone calls after this, fellas.
$5,
Got
please.
you. I'm gonna get our sound guy on the phone after this.
That would be great. Let's do that. Let's definitely do that. So you know,
yeah.
travel with this enormous, like, you know, green room road case that we have affectionately named Black Baka, because it's so huge, like Chewbacca, and it's black.
Nice.
And you like open it, and the record player's mounted to the top, and you
that's
like
epic.
hold it.
Wow.
And on this side, there's like all of our wardrobe and all. Anyway, it's a crazy fucking thing. But
You are speaking my language.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah, because you guys have like the white getup. You guys have like your uniforms, your look,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So we keep them
smart.
all in this one thing, and Marco has a bunch of shoes that he keeps in there, and like I have a few. Actually, I never really switch it up, but I have things where if I wanted to switch it up, I definitely could.
Options.
But point being, fucking like after both of those shows, there were just two of them. But like right after like the Claypool Lennon Delirium gets off stage, they beeline right for our room, where we're having a party with our Philly friends and our DC friends, respectively.
You're on the stage left side?
I was, yes, on the stage left side.
So
at
like,
at
like
9:30.
small little rooms.
It was small, exactly. So they had the stage right side, which, as you know, is really much nicer place to hang out. But they were
That's
like,
where I would go and hang out when we played with pigeons. I'm not wasting time in our
Yeah,
little
they
green
would
room.
make me go hang out with Luke's band, and he'd get to hang out with mine.
We just switch. I kick it in the big nice room. Ben
Yeah.
has to hang out with the peasants.
I think
get
that's
to.
great. No, but that means you get it, Ben, because that's like, you know, you were like Les and Sean, where they would like go from their nice suite and then come over to our little, you know, vibey, albeit small room, and they would be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And we would totally hang and chat, and
That's so cool.
it was all very surreal. And I was definitely 22, just out of college, and was just like, "This is so crazy." So yeah, that was special for sure.
How was it hanging out with Sean Lennon?
Sean is so cool.
Seems like such an interesting guy. Yeah.
I really enjoyed hanging with him. Yeah, that was, we have a few weird mutual friends too that we talked about, and that was just like interesting and weird. And
you guys are both from the city, right? So yeah.
Totally. And I, you know, Nels Klein used to live in his brownstone with his wife Yuka. Like it was all insane. But I worked for this like effects pedal company a couple years ago, where I would do a bunch of like their video.
Oh, cool.
stuff, and I was you know, an on-air personality too, where I would interview, like I went and like they sent me to interview Nels Cline and Jim Campolongo and Dweezil Zappa and like whoever and all this stuff. But they sent me, I was maybe 18, 19, I don't even know, but they sent me to go interview Nels Cline, and I went to this brownstone in the village, and Nels was like, hey, come on in, like, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Do you want some water or something? And I was like, sure. And then we like go downstairs, and then Sean Lennon's just there, and he was like, oh, this is Sean. And I was like, hey, you know, hi, wow, all right. But like I played it cool, but like I was just like, Jesus, like what the hell's going on? And then
did he remember you
no, that was before. No, he did not. He did not. But we spoke about it. I was like, I was at your house once, and there's a thing. No, yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
but
it's all good.
Anyway, cool guy, very cool guy. I mean, really an amazing.
Yeah, I have a deep-seated interest in quantum mechanics and the quantum theory of gravity and all that type of stuff. So hearing him talk about and kind of bring that into the banter was a pretty awesome experience for me when I first saw them. So it's like it's such an interesting thing to talk about that Richard Feynman would say if you think you understand quantum mechanics, you don't. So to kind of like bring in, like, try to talk about it to a that type of crowd, ballsy to say the least, and very exciting to kind of like listen to. And it's one of those things where I guess, and you probably know this more when you've toured with your band now.
Yes.
Your own band. So you're the banter, the front person.
Yep.
And that's something Luke does as well. I haven't done that as much. I have my side project Schwa that I do that a little bit, but it must be an interesting experience trying to reach out to everyone while still kind of being authentic and your own person as well.
Totally. And not being like cheesy, like, hey, everybody, tip your bartender, all right, thanks for coming. No, yeah, totally.
Well, Marco is so comfortable and good on the mic, right? It's like his whole thing is just kind of making everybody feel so like included. One of the first times I saw you play with Marco was at Lunatic Festival. I don't know if this was like 2014, 15, 16, I don't know. But I saw you guys play 16. Okay, thank you. You guys played in the lounge, and it was my first time. And granted, it was like in the VIP lounge, so it was more casual anyway. But it was just like such a fun set where everyone is just smiling and singing along, and it was a very just like the atmosphere was. It felt like a house party, like we were all a part of the show there.
That's so fun. Yeah, that was a great festival, and that was in Maryland, right? That's a whole.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's where we met our current light guy.
Wow, no
Manny?
shit.
Yeah, Manny. He looked our old light guy was Ronnie, and they both had ponytails, and they were wearing like shorts, like cargo type shorts with like
typical LD demeanor.
He's hanging out, but from the back they looked exactly the same, and we were like, we kept calling him Ronnie. He's like, Ronnie? He's like, nope, Manny. He'd turn around and have like a little bit of mustache.
Manny just got in the bus with you guys, and there was no looking back after that.
That was it.
Like, hey, we switched, and it's like the movie Us. You just kind of pulled a little switcheroo, and then that was your life from then on.
That's amazing. Look at that. I remember, for that festival was sick because we had our Marco set, and then right after, like, the headliner that night was Benevento, Russo, Medeski, and Martin. Do you remember this? So, like,
I was gonna ask you about that because that was wild seeing you up there jamming with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that now. Absolutely.
So, like, for me, again, like, this is the same little stretch of time with the Claypool Lennon. Like, this is a month later or whatever. That was like October, right?
Yeah.
That was about October of 2016. The Claypool Lennon thing was like late August or September. So, like, it's all happening around the same time. And I'm young, dumb, and good to go. And I'm just like, what the? And, I'm a huge Medeski, Martin, and Wood fan. Like, that to me is like the pinnacle of shit. Like, I fucking love those guys. And I had met John and Billy a couple times, but like never would have thought they would really remember me, or like, I don't know, like I was just like, oh yeah, those are those guys that are so fucking cool and do their thing. That's so awesome. Anyway, before our set and their set and whatever, like John came to me and was just like, hey, Karina, you're gonna come help us out up there, right? And I was like,
what do you need, water or something?
I was like, what do you mean, John Medeski? Like,
You say the full name to make sure it's actually him.
And then I said, I remember, I was like, yeah, just call me up, like when you're ready for me. He's like, no. You will know when it's time. you come when you are ready. And I was
You
like,
will be summoned by the gods of music.
I was like,
Medeski,
and
man,
in my
is,
head, I'm like, I can't do that. Like, of course I'm not going to do, like, what? Like, I'm going to crash your, like, I'm not that musician at all. And as bass players, like, it's kind of hard to be that guy. You know what I mean? Even though that setup actually lacks a bass player. But, you know, normally, like, you know, you get like the jam pyre guitar guy who's like, here I am. I'm crashing your set. Like, what's up? You know, but I can't, you know, I can't really be that guy. Like,
Well, especially when it's unplanned like that, to just kind of come in at your age and, you know, with them being who they are.
And just improvising with musicians of that caliber, right? Like there's the sit-in, right? It's like, hey, the keys in G minor, come up and rip a little pentatonic doodah, but it's like John Medeski and Billy Martin. I mean, it ranges from like avant free jazz to like acid house. I mean, they run the gambit, and it's next level musical improvisation. So what was like kind of going through your head? Like, what?
well, I mean, in my head, I was like, this is like, I can't compute this, you know, but then there I am standing on the side of the stage watching them make amazing music, the four of them, like, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what does he mean? Like, when I'm ready, like, I'll know no, I won't know. Like, I won't, there's no, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not getting up there. Like, there's just no way. He was kidding. Like, he didn't mean it, like, whatever. And then he literally, he's playing and he like shoots me. He's like facing me and he's like, and then I'm like, yeah, hey, you know, and he's like, come, like, waves me, and I'm just like, oh Jesus, like, he wasn't kidding, like, this is so fucking nuts. And I'm like, all right, you know, what am I gonna do, say no? And then I come up and
did you have your stuff set up or an amp set up? Is there any sound
still up
checking?
there. It was still up there
okay,
from the Marco set. So it went
so
Marco and then these guys. So they left Marco's gear and they left my gear. And
that's
then,
like a dream scenario for a bass sit-in.
It
There's no
definitely
bassist.
was.
It's the most, you know, incredible musicians, and like, get up here now.
Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, like, I guess he was not just kidding. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, there's no way that he actually wants that. Like, they are gonna do their thing and it's gonna be sick, like, whatever. Anyway.
Were they
so
just jamming, or was it a song that you knew, or
just
and
jamming.
so you just went and played, you know, went about your?
It was like 90 minutes of improv or whatever, 2 hours.
And incredible set too. It really, like, not a ton of people there, and I just remember just kind of hanging out on the rail with some other fans, and the kind of set where if anybody was, I mean, it's a festival, so if anyone's talking, whatever, people are like, yo, like, chill, like,
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like at an MMW show, like. I mean, being from New York, Karina, I grew up in Connecticut, and I would go and see MMW any chance I got because they'd play in the weirdest fucking places, right? Like, I've seen them play in a church in Brooklyn. You know, I got to see them at Tonic a couple times. Did you ever get to go and see them in just some weird places in New York?
Oh, I saw him at the Whitney Museum once with Schofield, I want to say. Like, I've seen them play LPR and like the normal places that they would play and whatnot. But like, I mean, yeah, and I've definitely seen like just John and Billy. What did they call themselves?
Mago?
Yeah, I've seen that in some weird, you know, circumstances and shit. It was, but of course I'll go and see either of them do anything at any time. And
I've pretty much fell in love with Billy on Jam Cruise watching the Medeski, Martin Wood, and Schofield. Both of the sets were for different ways for me just absolutely mind blowing, and I was just watching. It's like, I kind of wish I was a girl so I could try to marry that guy. Like, I've never quite had that experience. It's just like, he is just owning and controlling the situation so much. Like,
Billy's wife Phaedra is a gangster. She's amazing. She's into like aromatherapy and stuff.
I'm glad he found someone good, because I'd make that man happy.
Hey Billy, if you're watching,
just saying.
You gotta take her. You gotta take her. It's beautiful.
You do things to me. But
I do. I have to tell you one thing, Ben, about Lunalight. That I remember that was such a fun weekend, and there's such a great lineup. Shout out to Justin Berger, the Pillar of Philly, and everybody else there. Tipper played. I don't know if it was that night. Maybe it was after your set.
Night before.
The night before. So I was hanging out with Jeremy from Pigeons, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check out Tipper. Like, you should come. He's like, yeah, what's the deal with Tipper? And I was like, come and check it out with me. And you know, like, Jeremy's always down to check out anything. You know, he always likes to hear. I mean, he books and organizes events. He likes to, and I'm like, just come and check it out. And so I took Jeremy with me, and it was us and a couple other people, but we went right up front, and I got to experience Tipper with Jeremy for the first time.
Did he like it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was super into it. It was cool. It was a really fun set. Like, Tipper was just like in the corner, and they had all like the video projection mapping of all like the different props on stage and everything in that barn. It just felt like a big house party. I remember it was too full and they were like pushing people away, so a lot of people were upset they couldn't get in there, but I wasn't because I got in, so it was great for me.
That festival was great. And actually, speaking of I don't even know if I've like talked to Jeremy about this since. I don't think I have, but like, you know, anyway, after that Medeski Martin situation all happened, I was like on fucking cloud 9. I'm losing my shit. Definitely drank some tequila. Definitely just like we're party again. Like our backstage scene is like Marco-fied. So we have vinyl and everybody's hanging out. It was fucking awesome. Yeah. And then the time comes for us to get into the artist transportation vehicle and go to the hotel. And I just remember like Marco and I were just on one, but in a way that was like hilarious to us and annoying as shit to everyone else, probably, where we were just like, fucking screaming songs, like
I just jammed with Billy Martin, bitches.
And yeah, that was my vibe. He was just like, I'm having a great night, you know? And Jeremy and his lady were in our like artist transport vehicle, and I remember like just being out of control, like not to them, but just like we were just completely out of our fucking minds, like just screaming. And I felt very bad afterwards that they had to put up with our fucking lunacy.
I've seen Jeremy in those situations, you know, time and again. He generally keeps it even keeled and just does what he does, but there's times when he'll just let it ride, and he can keep going for a while. Like he's built for stuff like Jazz Fest. He loves music, he loves beer, and if he has both, it just leans on each other and just like rides the wave. He just keeps going. You know, he's an absolute trooper. But I'm sure he had a good time. I'm trying to remember if that's the one where whoever was driving was like driving all crazy and like, you know, he at one point he was like kind of worried they were coming around like this dark corridor or something like that. But that could have been any number of festivals that we've been to.
Jeremy's cool with everybody partying in the transport as long as it's not like the driver.
Sure.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Rightfully so. No, it's just us. We were just like, and our RLD, Jeff, like we were just screaming. I don't know. I remember portions of it, but being like, yeah, fucking, oh shit, there are other people here. Sorry. And I didn't even know like what. Yeah. Anyway, it was so.
No, that was the vibe. That really was, it was that kind of event where it was like almost as many musicians as patrons. So everybody was just partying. I remember I was on that ping pong table for a while. Ben, I think me and you had a little sparring match at some point. Yep.
So fun. Fun. When can we do that again? That shit was so fun.
Man, Luna Light, they booked a lineup that was so incredible a couple years ago. And it was art like Square Pusher with Show Leader 1 was on it.
Oh wow.
Hot Sugar, all these like deep cut musicians. And I remember like me and my manager at the time, we were like, this lineup is too good. Like, do people even know who these artists are? And then it got canceled because they didn't sell enough tickets. It's a bummer, you know, like that festival, I really got to give them props for always aiming really high in like the musicianship category, but you know, unfortunately that's not always what sells. So
wow,
I hope they come back and do something again.
Me too.
And I'm hoping that with all this time, you know, everyone, I know I was, you know, even me who loved going to music and going to shows, there'd be many times where, you know, like in college, Jeremy would be leading a whole cadre of people, like, we're going to this show, the 9:30 Club, do you want to come? And sometimes I would say yes, and it'd be the best night of my life. I'm like, I can't imagine saying no to this and what I'd miss out on. And other times I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I want to go today. I'll just like kind of stay in. I got early day tomorrow. Well, actually, I never had an early day or anything to do, but just didn't want to go out. Yeah. And when I wouldn't go, it'd be like, all right, you know, I don't think I missed too much, but then I'd realize every time I went what I would have missed, so I tried to do it more often, and he'd always be going every time. But I'm hoping that people who may not have gone out as much are like, oh, this thing will always be there, and, you know, I'll check it out at some point or every now and then. I hope that people give it a shot, because there's something about live music that is just the energy and the exchange. And I remember hearing you talk about you just would not want to play shows where people are sitting. You were talking to Frasco about that, and I thought that was very interesting. And you said you would attend a seated show, and you've done that, and you enjoy that, but that's just not your vibe. It's not what you're into. And I thought that was a really cool way of putting emphasis on what we like to do in the jam scene and like the scene that we do. Like, it's about exchanging energy and movement and getting people up and going for it. And I'm hoping that more people realize this might not always be a thing, because it's not right now, and just go out and check it out and see what happens. And maybe next time these types of things happen and, there'll be less opportunities for people to just kind of like, let's try a festival because it's always bursting but always growing bubble. Every year it'd be like these festivals that would try to happen and then fail, but then next year it'd be even more come out that you knew weren't going to go well. And it's a shame about Luna Light because they did have such a good organization and good bands, but we'll see how things go in the future and how things come out of it.
Yeah.
Agreed all around. I hope, and I think people will, when the time comes, be starved for that kind of back and forth, as opposed to like, I mean, of course there will be the folks that are more cautious and more weary of the whole thing, and that's totally fair, but I think the number of people who are just itching for that energy exchange
Well, and then also a lot of musicians are probably using this time, I'd hope, to either, rest and like get their energy back in that way, or write more music, or collaborate with different people, or just feel that urge to hit it even harder. And I think, like you said earlier, a lot of good is going to come out of this.
You gotta hope so, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, and I do think so, and it's a unique time to say the least, but like it's time that we may never get back like this.
Yep.
Certain
Yeah.
way. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
like very bizarre in terms of like, and good, I think, in certain, we got to try to put a good spin on it, shall we say. But I do think that like, having the time as touring musicians to like settle down for a sec, like figure out like what are we doing exactly, like who am I, what are we,
Yeah.
what's the whole thing,
I remember hearing someone say, when it first all started, it's like the important thing in this time is to have like a schedule and a routine, like wake up at a similar time and have things you do. And I was fortunate enough to join Live Lesson Masters to teach a little bit of bass, even though I started taking lessons again. It's like I don't know nearly enough to actually teach someone, so I wanted to hone my craft and figure things out. But I started having a set schedule. Cece just started working at the farm, so I was able to get up early and like maybe exercise in the morning. And I remember thinking, wow, this is great. Why didn't anyone tell me as a touring musician when I'm home from tour? That's what I should have been doing, is having a schedule. Like I come home, it's like mini retirement.
I can take care of myself and practice and learn. I thought it was just laundry and Netflix.
Exactly. Yep. It's just a place to sleep for longer that you don't pay for. Well, you do, but.
Yeah.
But different. No, I feel that in such a huge way, and I don't know about you guys, and I'd be very interested to hear, but I like, since I got back to New York City, I've been like very like kind of energized by like the feeling of the city coming back, and it's my home, and I'm like here, and I'm like, yeah, and I've just been like going to bed like straight up before midnight, waking up around 8, like
wow.
This is a new reformed Karina. You don't know me, fellas, but that's not, it's never been the norm. You know what I'm saying?
No tequila,
After hanging out with Marco in the green room, you're not going to bed before midnight.
Never. And even, if I come home from tour, I'm like, yeah, all right. And then it's like, oh, I think I slept till noon again. All right. And
noon, that's pretty good, honestly, for when I was sleeping in. Be like, oh, okay, I'm up by noon. Not bad.
Right. Exactly. So, I feel like now I've kind of been, and I'm doing the same shit. Like, I'm like, wow, like I'm cooking, I'm exercising, I'm like, have a bit of like a structure, like, which is good for a person. I get it. Like, even though what we do is maybe a little unstructured in certain ways, and structured
we have the structure of like a call sheet or, whatever that we would see is, okay, this is when load-in is, this is when sound check is. It's like we have all that structure put on by some other entity or just kind of there as part of the venue, and it shifts a little bit day by day. Right. But when you come home to like actually like, wait, I can now I have time to create my own structure. And I think next time when I go back on tour, I was kind of loosely like, okay, this is I'll try to go on a run or bike or something and at this time, and then maybe try to take a nap here, like work on something or read here. But I'm going to try to go in more structured and create my own sense of what I want to do. And I think that paradoxically kind of gives freedom, because it's like, okay, here's my limitations on my time, but then in that time I do whatever. And of course, if you want to shift it around, you can. And I found trying to get organized a very exciting challenge, and it's very new to me because I'm not that way normally.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's just like, with musicians or whatever you did before quarantine, it was like you have some kind of inherent like structure, right? Like you say, it's a call sheet or it's a work schedule or whatever. And so that got taken away from people, and that's kind of a big, like, getting the rug swept from under you. Like, now you're in charge of your schedule. You have to kind of
it's terrifying.
yeah, come up with your priorities and all these things. And it's a crazy thing to just witness, but it always kind of happens in society. Like, we have this like stupid inside joke with my friends about like posting on Facebook asking people what's on Netflix. And I'm always like, why are people fucking asking what's on Netflix? It's like, go on to Netflix and you can see what's on Netflix. Like, but and so, you know, it's like, what's everyone watch on Netflix? And just be like 500 responses, and it's like, yeah, I guess there you go, that's everything on Netflix. But as my buddy Supercilia said to me, he's like, well, like, you know, people don't watch cable as much now, and they're used to having like the TV tell us what to watch, and now people have to decide, and people get kind of like, whoa, I don't want to make a decision, you know what I mean? So, and it's this now, it's that, you know, to the nth degree with lifestyle. It's now there's no telling you what to do. So,
Well, and for regular
switch up.
For regular people too, you know, you had to be in work by 9 and out by 5, and you know, some people are working from home, other people are lucky enough to get unemployment to get themselves through in, you know, this crazy time. But like, there's not like the specific, here's when you do this, and here's when you take your lunch, and here's when you do that. And I think a lot of companies seem to resist the working from home thing, but now they're realizing that people can be as productive, if not more productive, when they have their own thing, because it's when you have this outward organizational force, you can kind of chill and like, it'll be taken care of somehow. But, you know, like Jeremy running festivals, when we went to All Good the first time and saw this whole organization, it's incredible. And now I see Jeremy putting it together, and it's him and all his people, and he works half of the year putting this whole thing together, him and Greg. And, you know, but it's because they're the ones doing it. They kind of make it happen, and there's nothing magical about it. It's just doing it. And that's one thing I've focused on and figured out during this time, is like, just fucking do it. Just start doing stuff. And, you know, again, looking into your story, Karina, it's been inspiring to say the least, to hear how you know, where you've come, and, you know, you created your own major with music business, and still graduated while touring. And, you know, I'm 32, and I'm like, I guess I'll start practicing bass regularly now. You know, it's like,
I gotta start doing that too, though. I gotta start doing that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you a bit about too, Karina. Like, when we're talking about touring musicians, and it's kind of like, oh, now there's no touring, so what do we do? I mean, you have a lot of projects that you stay busy with. So what have been the projects since you've returned to the city that you've been focused on? Ben and I checked out the 3 from 7 podcast, which is really cool. So wanted to ask you a bit about that, and just kind of what other projects have you been focused on?
And I saw I actually tuned in live, the one Rock and Roll Playhouse set that I happened to see on Facebook was you guys. I was like, wait, nice. Is that Karina? Hell yeah. And just kind of like tuned right in. That was a fun one. The trampoline thing.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was good. Oh man. Yeah, you know, when I was very happy and blessed, if you will, like when I was up in Rhinebeck, I was with all of my also musically inclined friends that aren't my normal band that I have like back in the city, but you know, I could kind of put them to work on a project when things would come in. I'd be like, hey, you guys want to play drums and guitar on this? Like, that would be great. So Rock and Roll Playhouse, totally. And just various random stuff that would come in was cool. 3 from the 7 has been going on this entire time remotely. Right. I use my RE20 microphone.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Oh! And
yeah, honestly, it's very impressive to see how much you've gotten done with that, because me and Luke were like, we've wanted to start this podcast for 2 years, and then finally this all started. It's like, okay, if we don't do it now, we have no fucking excuse. Let's start it. And we hit it like quasi regularly, and then just like, nah, we're good for a little while. But then I see you just doing it every week and like continuing to stay up on it. And also, Raphael is an awesome good friend and really good person for that too. So
I was gonna say, the only, like, I take zero credit for that. I'm the talent. Even when this whole thing started about a year and a little bit ago, like, it was, you know, Shappy just was like, Karina, like, you and Raph need to do this thing.
Yep.
Make it happen. And I was like, oh, great. But like, my role in it is like, I waltz into the office, like, you're like, yo, what's up, everybody? Hey. And then like,
that's what me and Luke both do.
Right, exactly. And then you talk some shit and then you leave, right? But like, Raph is on the ball. She makes these Google sheets every time with the stories and the ad read and everything. And again, like, even though it's been remote, it's still the same shit where like, I'm like the talent who comes in, acts weird and funny, and then leaves. And
so
then
I was gonna lead into asking how we get onto like Stitcher and Apple Music podcasts and everything, but it sounds like it sounds like we just get a producer, and she's the one. So
she is literally she would probably love to do that for you guys, and I think she would really hook it up. She's a
Right,
good
we need a
time.
producer.
Yeah, I think she would hook that up for you guys. Truly,
Cool.
truly, truly. She's the most organized, intelligent. You know,
And
she.
down to earth too. Like she has all the shit together, but she's just super like always connected with her. Even like before we really, just kind of knew her from the scene and like interviewing people, but she just really, really good person, really real.
She keeps it 100, as the kids say. It's really true, and I'm very blessed to be,
Hunted.
the Bill Walton to her Dave Patch, as we like to say, and it's just great. But that's been all good, and now, I've been back in the city, and basically the only people I see are my band, which has been amazing, and we actually cut 2 new singles a couple weeks ago and mixed them last week, and they're getting mastered today.
Yo, congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, so 2 new Karina Rykman songs are coming for you. And I think we're going to do it. I'm going to put one out in about a month, and then the next one about 3 weeks to a month after that, space them out a little bit, but I'm stoked. It's super exciting.
Do you have kind of creative control over that, Karina? How involved are you in like the social media or the marketing and that whole
1,000%. I have no team. I have nobody who does anything for me but me. So everything you will see is just me.
Tight. That's great. Keep it in-house, right? I've learned through countless managers that nobody is going to care or understand your art as much as you do at the end of the day, right? Or know how to sell it.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about, some kind of, team being put together at some point.
Well, I guess the way I've observed, Jeremy was the kind of person who did that early on, and we brought in Dave DiCiani as first our accountant and then our manager. But by doing it yourself, you are creating a team. It's just a team of just you so far. Right. And then eventually you're able to kind of bring things in and slowly work things off. I have a guy that I use for merch for Schwa, and he's been killing it. And I'm very lucky that I kind of found him, because there's all things, I don't want to spend. Greg was telling me he has a side project, and he's like, yeah, the pins are great, but you have to expect to spend a few hours at the post office mailing them off the first weekend you sell them. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I found this awesome dude who's helping me out. Scoop Doodles, shout out.
Scoop Doodles.
Together, and if you need any merch or merch help, let me know.
Dude, thank you. I've been doing that DIY too, and knock on wood, killing it. Like I released these shirts, and they totally sold out, not once but twice. And I did.
The shirts are fresh, Karina.
Thank you.
You have to get me a shirt.
Really cool art. I love that vibe. It's got a little bit of like a retro vibe, colorful, bright, very fitting for very on brand for you.
Thank you.
And if you want to check it out, you can go to KarinaRykman.com, I believe. Is that correct?
Hey, you can, but don't be misled, people. They're sold out. I don't know if we're gonna drop them again. I just don't know.
Whatever you see, snatch it up while you can. And you're gonna go to Karina Rykman, spelled incorrectly, Rykman, I believe.
Wow.
That is correct. Incorrect, yet correct. You know what you're talking about.
I found that out. That's a good one.
You're well researched. You are good.
We'll clue you in later.
You crushed it on the homework today, man. Damn.
Yeah, I was on
we just confirmed this shit last night, man. When you fucking doing all this?
Well, I was thinking I should have done it earlier, but a friend or someone told me recently that if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And I've never been that busy person, and now that I am, it's easy to just kind of find time to do stuff. And I'm sure you know more about that than I ever would have. But now that I am doing things, and I was like on my bike ride listening to NPR, and I'm like, wait. Let me just listen to the podcast and like check things out, and then spend some time to look into it. And
and low key, we've been talking about having Karina on for a while.
Yes, we have.
We've wanted to have you as a guest for a while. You've been up top of the list there.
That's very kind of you. Thank you so much for having me. This is a blast. I'll talk to you guys anytime. Have me back. I love it.
We were definitely thinking we're gonna have obviously new people on as we get build up episodes, but there's certain people that we're gonna definitely have back, and we look forward to checking in with you as things go forward. And as you do more things. So the songs that you released, the ones on Spotify, Plants and Elevator, those was that earlier this year?
I wish it was. No, Elevator came out last November, so November 2018, and Plants came out in June 2019. Did I say 18 before? I didn't mean that. I meant November 2019. I forget what I said.
I think I heard 19, so you're good.
Great.
We can always fix that in post. I'll give it to Raphael. It's like,
we'll fix that in post.
This,
Hey, Raph.
Yep.
It's Karina.
Hey, it happened again.
That's my line to her. This is just like always connected to her. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's like the red phone in the White House.
Totally, exactly. Just like this is my RAF line in case I need something, and she's all over it. I'm like, oh, thank God I have somebody with their shit together to help.
That's what we all need.
I was going to say, again, me and Luke,
producer,
Yeah, me and Luke have been like, yeah, maybe he's that guy in my life. And Luke's like, yeah, maybe he's that guy in my life. And then we got together, and no, but we have fun doing it, so.
I think you're doing great. You guys got the great chemistry, y'all. You know what? And that you can't just put out a Craigslist ad for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You can't buy chemistry.
Yeah, well, talk to Walter White, sirs.
Oh, well, you can sell chemistry. Yeah, you're right. Breaking Bad proves that wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yo, you got bars, Ben. You got bars, dude.
Oh boy, don't get me started. Actually, the first day moving into this spot, I'm so much more inspired here. At my apartment, it wasn't like in the city per se. I was in Mount Washington in Baltimore, but there's people around. There's fucking leaf blowers. I swear, like the CIA or something was handing out leaf blowers to people around me. It was just like, yeah, fuck with him. Start fucking with him.
Bro, leaf blowers are just I don't know. I'm
They
not
literally
the tinfoil
blow.
hat guy, but there's just something about leaf blowers. Like I'm like, what the fuck are you doing right now with that leaf blower?
Thumbs
There's no
down
leaves.
on leaf blowers. Thumbs down. Big thumbs down.
It's
We don't-
official. Back to Basics does not approve of leaf blower life.
It's a facade. What are they? They're covering up a sound or something. There's like, if somebody is like making some weird experiment, they're like, we need a loud noise out in the yard. They're like, leaf blower? They're like, there's no leaves. Like, nobody's gonna fucking ask. Get a leaf blower.
I think a dubstep producer just like marketed one and like got his name on it, and he gets a portion of it, and he just there it is.
I'm like, just leave them. Just leave them.
They're leaves. Who has an issue with leaves?
Yes. Pun received though. Pun
You
received.
know what I'm saying?
Leave 'em.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
I just leave them. They don't bother me. They don't bother anybody. If they're really bad, yeah, maybe call a guy. But like, come on, how bad?
Well,
are they?
just rake.
I know.
That's
Oh,
all good.
right.
Like, we brush our hair, just brush the grass, brush your lawn,
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Here we are changing the world one conversation at a time, and we couldn't have done it without you.
This is great. I'm
is
here to talk about
profound.
all of the leaf blowing and raking and all that stuff. I lived in the country for 3.5 months.
So you're an expert now.
Now things are different. Yeah.
Well, you were
Before
out
I
on
was, like,
Applehead. You were in the farm, living that pig life. You know what? The
I've
rustic
done
life.
it, but like I've dipped in there, like with Marco and whatnot. Marco lives on an actual he has like chickens
Right.
and goats and
He lives out in Woodstock, doesn't he?
yeah,
He lives
he
close
lives
to
30
Steve.
minutes away from where I was the whole time.
Cool.
So like I'm very familiar with the area and whatnot, but like I am not a country bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know what is going on. Like no.
City girl.
Yeah, I'm
You're a
super
city girl.
into like pavement and shit,
Well, and like Karina too, like you go to a lot of shows when there were shows. You would hit up a lot of shows in New York.
When there were shows, definitely.
Back then, not now. But okay, one show I
Because
wanted to
Netflix
ask
for
you
shows
about.
now.
Yeah. I think we were both at some of the same Nine Inch Nails shows last year.
Music to me ears, my friend. Yes. What you got? What do you got?
Dude, so I got to see him at Radio City, which I saw you make a post or something about it, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, Karina's there. And then I somehow scored tickets to see him at King's in Brooklyn the next week. And
Whoa.
those are just two of the best shows I've ever seen. And I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on those shows.
Let me tell you. No, I'm just saying. I'm such a geek out, fucking diehard Trent fan forever. And I, when I was 14, 15, whenever, when the Wave Goodbye tour was in 2009.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I went to all those shows, and they were at Terminal 5, and Peter Murphy descended from the ceiling, getting hung like from his legs and singing Reptile, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I like saw a bunch of shows on the Ninja tour where it was Nine Inch Nails and Jane's Addiction. Like
That's genius.
I love all that shit. It was so. I saw Bonnaroo 2009, and I was so young and so good to go. Like I love Nine Inch Nails. So yes.
Fuck
Anyway.
yeah.
To answer your question, that whole tour, I saw both Radio City shows.
Cool.
Couldn't see the Kings shows because I was on the road, but I ended up I flew. Like, I'm also a bit of back in my old life, I was really into my Delta status.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And so what I literally did was we played Christmas Jam in Asheville. It's like Warren Haynes' thing, right? I went pre-Christmas Jam, flew to San Francisco and saw, I think it was 3 Nine Inch Nails shows.
Oh, wow.
There, which was the best shit ever. So fucking awesome. Then I flew back to New York. Then I flew from New York to Asheville to play Christmas Jam. And then I flew from New York. Oh, no, sorry. New York to Asheville, then from Asheville to LA to see 3 more Nine Inch Nails shows.
Yo, the dedication is mad impressive.
Dude, it's like, other than the other stuff that I like, that's my favorite shit. It's like,
Fuck yeah, because I know that you fuck heavily with Fish and the Jam world and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I love how into Nine Inch Nails you are. So it really was. I'd say that I think Tool and Nine Inch Nails are probably the best shows I've ever seen in my life, and that tour.
I
was
get
some of
that.
those shows.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, y'all got to school me on some of this stuff. when I was younger, I was, more fluffy kind of person. It's like, this angry, heavy music. It's not for me. I like the happy,
You were a happy boy.
funky,
You were a
good,
happy young lad.
good groove stuff. But now I'm getting a little angrier, so I want to get into this stuff.
Oh, dude. Well, let's get a good side play in the group chat going. I'll send you everything you need, dude. It's all
Please.
Big Daddy Trent will bring all of your angst out of you. Okay.
Totally. Oh my God. Oh yeah. And my poor friends who were like, they knew, but they didn't know, like, anyway, it was deep because I saw all those shows with like a lot of different people, my LA friends, my San Francisco friends, a few different New York contingents there. So
how did the shows like compare to you? Just because it was so interesting to me, like, Nine Inch Nails, there's a great DVD, Ben, for you to check out. And anybody that's listening that's not super familiar with Nine Inch Nails, a great place to start is this Vivo live show, like the Tension DVD or something, I think it's called. You can see it on Vivo. It's a live show. It's in LA. It's from a few years ago. I believe it was on the tour, the Hesitation Marks tour, and it's when they had that big like 3-dimensional cube. They had these LED strips, but they were making some like using software. And Nine Inch Nails has always kind of been on the forefront of really intense visual shows. But it was, it was a wild tour, but there was a lot of, so I'm explaining it poorly. I think if you type in Nine Inch Nails Tension, you'll be able to find the show. But this most recent tour, the Cold, Black, and Infinite, the one that Karina and I are talking about, they were changing up the set list like crazy every night. And the production was really, I remember at Radio City, guys were running around on stage holding spotlights, like fog machines and spotlights. So it was just a really crazy, so it wasn't such a dialed in, production they were doing every night. It was really different. I'm just curious. I don't know, how did the shows like in LA compare to the Radio City shows in New York?
I mean, they're, like you say, they actually, believe it or not, like, not like Fish does, obviously, but like they do switch up the sets nightly, and not like, I'm not saying every night has a complete unique set. Like you'll probably get some of the, like, the staples in there every night, but it was just, as a total nerd for this shit, I was geeking out. Like it was so awesome. And Radio City is one of my favorite places to see anything. I'm obsessed with that room. It was so amazing. But, the Palladium in LA is kind of like, it's not in the round per se, but like it has a lower ceiling and it's a little more half in the round, shall we say. And so it was like a little like intimate in this crazy cool way. I don't know. I was way about those shows. And ones at Bill Graham, I was up in the balcony for those guys so I could get like a real serious kind of, far out view of the whole thing and get it visually popping. It was just, I'll go see them anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
And that Hesitation Marks tour was sick too. And I saw,
you saw it?
I saw that at the Barclays and at the Prudential Center. I remember that. And I was just like, this is the best. Cause I was like, kind of when they came back.
Yeah. So did you get to see him with Pino Palladino on bass?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was so fucking awesome. Oh my God. Yeah. It's just that raw intensity thing, but also Trent makes beautiful music too. You get like, it's one of those things where, you get a little bit of everything. Kind of, well, if you go to a Fish show, you get a Big Black Furry Creatures from Mars, and then you get a Rogue, and it's like that eclectic thing is what I love. I love Ween's my favorite band too because of that. Like they'll make you laugh, they'll make you cry, they get heavy, they get sad, they get soft. Like I love all of it, and that's what like for my music too. Like I don't give a fuck about genre really. Like I just want to make shit that moves me, and I like. I like
really
heavy
way of putting it.
fucking music. I like, trippy fucking music. I'm not like a one genre fits all guy.
The real question is when you get to sound check with Nine Inch Nails, are you going to approach that differently than when you sound check with Fish?
or the Claypool Landing Delirium?
I'd have a full come apart if I sound checked with Nine Inch Nails. Full come apart. Oh my God. Wow. I can't even picture it. Yeah. Wow, what would we play?
Oh my God.
It's like that would be the different, like, with Fish, we just jammed an A, right? Like, and I set the, but like with Nine Inch Nails, I feel like I'd have to come in hot. What I would play? We'd play Only. You know that tune?
I don't know. Is that like an older Nine Inch Nails track?
Yeah, I think it's on With Teeth.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm not actually super familiar with Teeth.
Let me give you a couple choice cuts to check out, but only has a bass line for the ages. So for both of you guys,
Only.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
No, you. There is only me.
Totally, I know it.
fucking yeah. It's so good. Oh my God.
Oh
Anyway,
my
yeah, I'd
God,
probably have
so
to come
cool.
in hot with a song.
That's incredible. No, I fucking love nerding out on Nine
It's
Inch
funny. I was
Nails.
gonna ask you to sing on this. I was like, nah, that's gonna be stupid, and then you just came out with it. Perfect.
That's so fucking awesome.
It's so good, dude. Oh my God. Yes. Yes to that. Oh, your lips to Jaws' ears. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So do you so you say that fuck genres, and I say fuck genres. What's like the vibe of the new tracks that are coming out? Is there and just in general, like, do you kind of with my band with La Special, it's a lot of times we're never like, all right, let's do a song and it's gonna be like a metal song, and then it'll have a hip hop breakdown and like some 808s at the end. But that'll just kind of happen, and like but we'll reference like, okay, let's go for like a Tool intro and then like a Ghost main breakdown and then maybe like a Radiohead outro, like using artists. And that's like talking myself up. None of our shit sounds as cool as that.
No,
But
I get it.
like using artists as references rather than like genres. Is that something you do with your band?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love references, like when writing. I feel like I live by them a little bit, and like,
Yeah.
all that stuff. The first tune I'm gonna put out is like somewhere between Talking Heads meets Ween. Of
Cool.
course, I say that with utmost respect to both. Like,
course.
it's not. It's just fucking Karina being insane, obviously. But it's
That's the inspiration point. Yeah.
you know,
Well, the music's like a palette, and you're taking different colors that they've mixed. Like they mixed a really cool color, and they've mixed a cool color, and you get to kind of take a watered down version and add color of your own.
totally, exactly, and like, put it through the Karina filter or the special filter, whatever. It just becomes you when you're the one doing it, because we're not David Byrne,
Sure.
So yeah, the
Karina
first
Rykman.
Karina Rykman. First one's very upbeat. It's like 140 BPM for the nerds. Yeah.
All right.
140. Are you got a dubstep vibe with this?
We're just out there. We're pulsing.
Cool.
We're pulsing.
Gotcha.
It's total dance party, like
Cool.
Lunatic Sunshine in a song. It's
Ooh,
just
Lunatic
fun.
Sunshine. I dig that. I can
You
see
know
why
what I
you
mean?
handle the marketing.
Thank you. I came up with that myself.
I like that.
Fuck. So that one's fun, and that one's just a bop. It's got, I played a lot of synths on it and stuff too.
Cool.
And like, it's a fun summertime party jam. And then the next one, like, kind of has it has like a bit of the metal, a bit of the hip hop, and a bit of the funk, kind of all interlaid. It goes pretty hard, and I play Sub Fatty on that guy too.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Overlaid a lot of guitar on that, and just
Were
like,
you playing guitar on it?
my boy Adam November, the actual guitar player in my band, like, played most of the guitars, but then when we went in for mixing, by we I mean just me, I did overlay a lot of the guitars myself
Badass.
too. So
Cool.
getting it all together there. And that one, the first one is I sing on it, and then the second one is instrumental. So
Wow.
I'm open to both, man. I'm open to both. I'll sing, I won't sing. I'll sing, I won't. It's all
Genreless
good,
Lunatic
so.
Sunshine over here.
Yo.
Just don't care. I just don't care. I mean, I care a lot, actually, but you know what I mean? It's
Keep
just,
it free. I mean, that could be a new stage name, though, Karina. Lunatic Sunshine? I don't know. That kind of vibes.
or a record.
Yeah.
Like, can
Yeah.
you picture it? I
Well,
think I
it could be
picture
your
it. I
your
picture
David
it.
Bowie, Ziggy Stardust,
Right.
alter ego.
Slim Shady style.
I like that. Ooh, guys, you guys are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've always had, when you're playing shows or just talking, or you have this very bright, bubbly, kind of happy, optimistic side, but then obviously you're into the,
Slayer.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Mastodon, I think, or something,
Oh yeah, no, all
Hey,
of that, all of
Karina,
it.
did you see Slayer on their farewell tour with Primus?
I didn't, and that makes me so upset. I'm really upset about it. I was on the road. I toured I literally was gone October, November, December, and January. Like, I was out for the most part of last year, which was amazing in its own right. But
for all younger musicians who are starting to try to make it, one of the best ways you're getting to a good point is when you can't see the bands you love anymore. I remember we'd miss all sorts of Fish shows, be like, well, I'd love to be at this one, but we
you
are
get to see
playing.
them in new places. We were in
That's
between
true.
tours with Aqueous and Pigeons, and we got to see Slayer and Primus in Kansas City.
oh,
Yeah, and we at the KFC Center on a snowy Monday, and they had just finished their sold out night or 2 nights at Madison Square Garden,
oh.
and this was the KFC Center was like half full, so it wasn't a lot of people, but it was incredible. It was such a cool. Primus was like, I was expecting to see the kind of standard Primus 60-minute opening set, but they were like getting into dark improv territory, and Les is being a weirdo tapping the rainbow bass, and I'm like, oh, they're getting dark and jamming before Slayer, like yes. And then Slayer went up, and it was like, I wasn't close up, but I could feel the heat from the flames and the pyrotechnics. Like, and it was also just such a cool crowd. Like, it was, we got down on the floor, and we were getting in some of the mosh pits. I saw in the mosh pit there was a blind kid and a handicapped kid in a wheelchair, and everyone is just, like, helping them out and rolling him around in the mosh pit. Like, it was such a cool, supportive crowd that maybe people wouldn't expect from Slayer. But the metal scene has a very compassionate fan base, I feel.
I would 1,000% agree. And I spent, many of my teenage years playing in metal bands, and I was in a band called Shit Kill for a long time. And
Shit Kill.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. And I was
Lunatic Sunshine.
I was in a band called White Collar Crime LLC, and my first band was called False Arrest, and I spent a lot of time seeing 1 week of Fish Tour, and then all those bands, Slayer, Mastodon, Gojira, like anything. I love heavy music, and people would be like, that's so weird, like those two aren't compatible, and I'd be like, you're absolutely wrong, they're super compatible, and there's love through the aggression of the music. To me, it's just it's an emotion, just like happiness is. Like, it's just like a feeling, or it's like just this kind of raw
release.
Intensity, it's about intensity,
It's the human condition. You can get anything you want emotion-wise out of music. People, sometimes you want to listen to Bob Marley while you smoke weed outside because it feels good, and sometimes you want to put on Slayer and fucking just rock out because you've had a crazy day. It's like, don't be afraid of any emotion, and any music or art that helps you experience that emotion is cathartic. And I'm so with you. I grew up, like, I played in a Slipknot cover bands, you know what I mean? And then I started fucking heavily with, like, Nirvana, and then it started to get more into jam bands. So it's like, you can have all of it, you doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yes, you can have it all.
Yep.
You can have it all. I'm gonna stop. We'll stop with that.
Yes.
Gotta butcher
It's all
some
good.
trend.
See, that one I know.
Down though. Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're covering Johnny Cash now. Cool.
Oh yeah, a lot of people thought that, dude.
That's good. That is good. It's all fucking amazing, man. Music is so cool. It's the great uniter. We're so lucky. Like,
we're very, very lucky to be here. Listening to some of your podcasts with Frasco about, I was asking you what you're looking forward to in the future, and I was going to try to figure out a way to ask you that as well, but you're just so stoked to be doing it and so happy, and even though you've been touring for so long, I will admit to being that, before touring's like, touring's gonna be awesome no matter what, there's nothing bad about it ever, it's gonna be great, and then towards the end of last year I was just like, I don't want to do this, I want to be home, and then by spring I kind of reset and like collected myself and took care and did some mental health work of my own, and spring tour was incredible, and then we got this time and I was like, okay, again, I'm going to use this time wisely and do my thing, but reset. And, coming to this point and talking with you and preparing for this, I'm, very impressed with your mindset all the way throughout. And I'm excited to kind of take the parts that have worked throughout my life and worked for other people's lives and move it forward. But yeah, music is such an emotionally visceral and like connective art form. Painting is really cool, and like seeing someone paint or like seeing a cool piece of art, or whatever else it might be, but music is just it's there and then it's it's gone. Granted, you have recordings and you can listen, but it's just such a more it really speaks through you, and to be in a position where not only are we able to be in it, but like we get joy out of creating it, and sometimes it's a struggle as well, but it's such a glorious struggle, and to kind of be reminded of that right now is a really cool thing.
I couldn't agree more. And you realize, like, anything's a struggle. If it wasn't this, we'd be struggling for something else.
Exactly. But we're struggling in something that we want to do. Again, like, just knowing I could have been practicing more at my instrument throughout the years, but now I have this place to do it. It's been incredible. I've been kind of like, I don't want to play it because I play for 5.5 hours every night on tour, and people playing backstage and getting ready is like, I know I should do that and want to, but I'll just do what I can do, and that's okay too. That's fine. But now getting this point, it's like, well, let me just buckle down and do my job and like be who I've been, it's like, well, this is awesome. I'm just sitting here just like playing around and finding new things. And you come, especially on the bass, I think it's easier for someone like me and a lot of bass players who, multi-instrumentalist type of mentality, and I started out on piano. It's like the bass can feel limiting in certain ways, but
Right.
as soon as you kind of allow that to be its own thing, then it starts to open itself up so much more. It's like, well, it's not limited. It's just there's certain things that work really well. You were talking with your guru Dave, and he was like, why don't we just like get back to the basics of it? And I was like, that is
Wise man. He's a wise man.
But
Yeah.
when now when I'm playing bass, we're writing new songs and working on things, and before Ed, I hear it this way, or like I want to try this a little more complex, and I know you wrote it this way, but like that's not going to work. That's boring. It's like, well, play the bass and do the bass parts, and then I can add things in over time and like work in little parts of it. But there's no need to recreate the wheel. Like it turns. You can maybe like hone certain sides of it, or figure out a cool way, or add like spikes on the outside if you're the kid in the wheelchair at the Slayer show, whatever you want to do. But
That would
it
be
just
so cool if he had spikes.
that's
on
what I
the
was
wheel.
imagining
Just
the whole
Mad
time.
Max like wheelchair.
Well, I'm thinking
Flames coming out of the-
Death Clock, that plays
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
benefit show. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I agree with all of that. And the bass is kind of funny that way because, and I agree, like, I'm not saying it like feels limiting. Yes, in certain ways when you start to want it to be something that it's not.
Exactly. When you're trying to make it something else, but there's other stuff, and you doing your own thing, and me working. I have a piano project I'm working on, and my side project, and those types of things. And Luke's just a classically trained bassist, so he can do all that stuff either way. But it's freeing when you stop trying to prove and make it something that it's not. It's like, this is just what it is, and then let it kind of speak through you. And I think that's something that a lot of bassists kind of have kind of below the surface, no matter who they are. If they're most complicated or most basic, or just holding it down, they can both be incredible, but both are, we're just going with the flow, and we're playing what should be played as we hear it. We're laying that down, and I don't know. It's been a cool journey.
I'm with that. That's so awesome. That's so great. And it's also, you got to remember, like, as fancy as you want to get sometimes, or as much as you want to innovate, and as much as you want to be like, that guy doing that cool thing, or like, the next Claypool or the next whoever doing something really, like, talk about like reinventing the wheel or something like that. The fundamental purpose is to be the glue that holds it all
Yep.
together, and that's so important, and you got to do that sometimes. In fact, you should probably do that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, instead of trying to be like, oh shit, like now I'm going to practice this crazy ass fucking thing. And then people are going to be like, damn, what is that? Like, that is crazy. Like,
well, and sometimes straying off is what, is
Yeah.
holding the glue together. Like, something's got to shake it up. And, it's like with the whole pandemic quarantine thing, like everything's burning, but then from the ashes, the phoenix will arise. Like, sometimes that's part of it too, to recreate it. But you always kind of come back to like, okay, this is, the foundation. Like, this is foundational, and we get to be in a position in a band, or, a lot of composers are bass players, or, with that type of thinking. And so I've been able to more delve into it. It's like, well, let me really think of this from a bass perspective, so that as I, do more composition going forward, I can understand what's going on here. And then, my natural ear of melody and, just soloing type aspects, that can come out when it's time to come out, and, just letting it happen.
Totally. Absolutely. And remembering that there's no right or wrong way to do any of this, because it's art, it's music. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, one thing that caught my ear, again, in the brief, like, 1 hour of research I did on you today before this
Sounds
thing.
like a lot more than an hour, dude. Don't
Yeah,
get
well,
me
I
honest.
got
yeah.
it in. I got it
I
in.
like that.
Um,
You know about her high school or college thesis and shit.
I just
how do
listened
you have access to this information?
That's good.
the leaf
Fred,
blower
you
people.
read the interviews, man.
The leaf blower people. You just put your ear up to the leaf blower, and you hear all the secrets of the universe. It's all
That's
there.
what they're covering.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's the zzz out there. But just the with writing stuff, and one thing I really connected with was when you're writing, just being okay with this as like my final output. Not that it's your final output, but like, I have an idea, but I can make it better. I could do more to it. It's like, yeah, well, that's all well and good, but just put this out and then work from there. It's so easy to get lost in the, I want to perfect this and make this better, like do this and that. And especially when I was less confident, I had a much harder time playing bass lines as they're written or writing a bass line for a song. I would just play it different every time. I was like, well, I can do it better. And then I
Right.
finally realized in order to make it better over time, you kind of lock in here, add small parts. I'm listening to our old albums, like trying to like, wow, like that was a cool idea I came up with. Let me like actually learn it and play that live instead of just fucking around every time. And
Sure.
yeah, that definitely spoke to me as a
I
artist.
feel
And
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like, yeah, absolutely. I forgot that I totally said that, but it's so true. Like, that is such and I feel like people fall into that trope a lot of the time where, you just kind of are like, your own little genius perfectionist or whatever. And you're just like, you try and keep polishing this thing over and over and over, which you should do to a certain extent, but not if it inhibits you from producing
right, if
stuff.
you're never going to create it, and then then you get to tell yourself, I know I've done this, like, oh well, if when I do finish it or when I get to that point, it's going to be great, and like, I got this, but then you don't actually have anything to show for it because you're kind of continuing to try to tweak it, and you have to put it out and be vulnerable. You have to be heard in order to hear yourself and make it better.
Totally. And I would suffer
Yeah.
from that all the time. And like, it's hard to let your art speak for itself. And it's hard to commit to things. And it's hard to be like, this is the
Putting a
song.
part of yourself out there. It's like, I came up with this, and
Yeah.
even though you're sort of tapping into something, it's you're curating it. This is what I feel and put out there. Now judge it.
Totally.
What's your vibe like in the studio, Karina? Because like we talk about this sometimes. Like there's that constant need for, oh, I could do this better. I could do another take. Like in the special world, like we always bring up the I think it was the James Brown quote where first take is God, second take is man, and there's gonna be your first take is gonna be maybe the most organic, right, or like true to the like less analytical or less self-critical and things like that. And especially as somebody who you play in a band, but you are a band leader as well.
Right.
So how does that concept kind of change for you? Or do you just have like, I'm in the studio, I'm fucking Karina Rykman, I'm gonna play whatever the fuck I want, it's gonna be badass?
Well, since I was literally just in the studio like last week or the week before, just in terms of like this very last session, which was very fresh on the brain, I'm not always a one take wonder, but I kind of was. I'm not
Cool.
trying to toot my own horn, but like I literally was like from
Not trying to play my own bass here, but
I'm not trying to play my own bass here. And I wasn't like, on Elevator and Plants and like my prior tunes, like I definitely
great tunes, by the way. I really, really enjoyed them.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. But I'm not saying that that's just like a thing where like, oh yeah, I walk into the studio, lay it down and I'm good to go. Like that's not my vibe. But for these two tunes, like we rehearsed a lot and like, I mean, when I say a lot, pandemic a lot,
Yeah.
But before it all, like we had this recording session in the books for March 16th. Like it was like good to go and then everything fell apart right then.
That's the day, I know that's the day it shut down because I came off tour and my Aguilar amp was broken. It broke the Sunday before we finished, and I sent it in on the 14th, and it missed delivery at Aguilar on the 15th. And on the 16th, it went into limbo, like some basement of the Manhattan post office for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And I just got a call this morning. My amp is on its way home, fixed.
After
Wow.
Because they sent it back to me, and then I moved here. Then I had to find a box to like resend it in because the one I had wasn't working anymore. But that's right when it fell apart, and that's when you were booked in the studio. So
Exactly, and it was to do these two exact songs that we ended up doing 2 weeks ago or whatever, and finishing today. And I felt we've been playing these tunes for a while, been playing them live since last September. Like they had been written and like good to go for a hot minute, and I like wanted them to be my next singles. So I felt very committed to the parts, committed to the bass lines. Like I felt good about all of it. But the funny thing about being a band leader on top of all this stuff, like my two fellas who I love so much, like my bandmates, they're incredible musicians, but they are very hard on themselves and much more at ease live than in the studio for the most part. And they would tell you this if they were here. I'm not talking shit. Like they would be like,
yeah, fuck those guys. I get it.
But they, both of them in their respective ways, like, would be like, ah, shit, we got to do that one again. We got to do it again. Ah, can you punch me in? Can you punch me in? Can you punch me in? Let's just do the end again. Let's just do that, blah, blah, blah. On one tune more than the other, by the way, but whatever. But, as the band leader, like I'm there being like, you're hearing things that I'm not hearing. Like, that first take was magic. The second take was great too. Like, you're good, you know what I mean? But you can't ever, that's another funny thing about music and egos and who you are and what you think about your output, and like you want it to be perfect, but what is perfect? And if it was kicked up a BPM, would that make you happier? No, it wouldn't. And if it was more precise, would that make you happier? Like, yes, but why and how? And are you going to get there? And can we just call it the take? You know what I mean? And it's
that's kind of your role as the band leader, right? You kind of have to be like, hey, that was good. Like, there's always going to be that level of, oh, I can do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can. And do you kind of get a little bit of that from working with Marco for a while? And does he have like a vibe as a band leader that you've kind of like absorbed a bit of?
Yeah, being super ultra chill. Like, Marco's super ultra chill, and I'm kind of super ultra chill too, maybe to a fault, both of us. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, wow, like, you guys are magic. Like, you're fucking amazing at the drums and the guitar. Like, you're making amazing stuff. Like, it's good. Like, it's, you know, and then sometimes like you work yourself into a bit of a hole and you're like, ah, shit, I'm just not on right now or whatever. And I'm like, that's totally cool. I've been there too. Like, but it's hard. And like, yeah, as band leader, both, you know, whenever I, you know, record or play with Marco or whatever, like, he's always like, that's it, Ma, that's it. And I'm like, isn't it? You know? After a while, you start to be like, oh, you know what? If he's happy, I'm happy. And that's what, you know, my fellas too, like, you know, after a certain amount of time, you know, of me being like, guys, like, we got it. It's in there. When I go mix it, you know, we'll work out anything that isn't, you know, kosher or whatever, and it's going to be great. Like, it's awesome. And I kind of am like good vibes patrol in the, like, you know, it's all,
it's important,
music, man. It's fucking awesome. These guys are so talented. You know what I mean? It's all, it's, you know, they're killing it. And it's like, you know, that little voice in your head that everybody has. I have it. We all have it, where you're just like, shit, like, is that the best I can do it? It's like, after a certain amount of time, you start to be like, you know what? That was fucking dope. It was dope.
Yeah. And you guys radiate that positivity and that energy that's important. It comes through. It's different than probably Big Daddy Trent in the studio, who like is like bleeding on a piano. You know? Like,
he's like, here, just one sec.
Yeah. I know I could do it better. Let me just crack myself in the head with this microphone, and then that'll be the take.
Everyone has a process.
Roll that back. Could you roll that back 2 seconds? All right. Yeah. No.
That don't try it with that mic. That mic is like, I bet that mic is hevier than mine.
A heavy mic. It's a heavy mic. Yeah.
Heavy duty.
But everybody's got the process and all that stuff. I feel like, you know, and I'm not like, you know, Miss One Take Wonder over here, but I felt definitely confident in the parts that I had written, even the improvised stuff. Like, I was like, this is, and it's, you know, you guys know, trying to like write jam sessions in the studio, if you know what I mean, like trying to capture that lightning in a bottle, but not making it.
It's a whole thing.
Minutes long, you know, like, that's complicated. And like, yeah, I'm sure you guys are more than familiar with that.
There's a lot of trust built into that part too. It's like, we've done this live enough, like, it's gonna work in a condensed fashion, and it's hard because you can always kind of re-record over, and you can do as many takes as you want, and sometimes that can just take you further and further away from where you need to go. Or sometimes on the 26th take, I remember on our last album, you know, we just like at the very end of my last tracking, me and Steve, who actually owns a pig as well. Shout out to pigs and pigs. We would just like, you know, hit it this like last fill, and we just kept going, and it kept getting kind of a little cooler and more intricate. So we were like in a good vibe. We're like, let's just keep hitting it until we go. And one of the last ones, we ended up copying that for the fill for across the entire song. And it just worked really well. And, you know, you can kind of tell when you're building up to it versus when you're just kind of getting further away from it. It's just a thing you just start to understand. And I guess as the band leader, too, you can be like, no, we got it. Like, it's not getting more there. It's getting less, you know, concise. So, and it's an exciting thing to, you know, learn the instrument of a live show and then learn the instrument of a studio. Like, it's not completely, but it's a different thing to kind of figure out and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you know, I always find listening back to it, it's like, man, I had a lot of fret noise and a lot of, you know, stuff like garbage in there. But then when you play live, you're not hearing any of that because it's all, the systems are just taking care of it.
Right.
But in the studio, like, you have to be very
under a microscope.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard, and that's it is a complete, I agree, it's such a different instrument in a lot of ways, and it's just like a whole other, configuration, and you know, it's cool. Like some bands are more attuned to that, and some bands are more attuned to the live thing. And you know, we come from jam sphere, if you will, so like taking our live thing and trying to like make it kind of packaged in like a digestible 4-minute and 20-second long track is like you know, it's a tough thing to do, and we're just trying to do it. So I hope it comes out all right. So
I'm excited to hear him. Is there a release date or anything that we can let people know?
Not yet. You see, I get the masters. Honestly, I should be getting the masters tonight, and then gonna go through the whole, you know, rigmarole of releasing.
Rigmarole. Wow, good vocab today, Karina.
Thank you.
Rigmarole is a fucking good word.
Yeah. You like that? Oh,
yeah.
You guys are great. Yeah. Yeah, dude. No, yeah, we're about a month from now, let's say. I think cool. A good like 3.5, 4 weeks from when you get the master. Then I'll put it in the system, do all the stupid shit you have to do because I don't have a manager who does it for me. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, but that's so exciting. Getting your masters back. That's like Christmas. That's
it is. I'm so excited. I'm excited. No, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun thing. I'm excited. I just want to put out more music and fucking be
in sound school. Do you get a master's degree? How does that work?
Sound school?
You get a master's degree?
Did I go to sound school? I went to NYU, man. I don't even know.
They have a sound program at
NYU. It wasn't. I studied like music business and creation merged into one. Yeah, I went to the School of Individualized Study called Gallatin at NYU, and my thesis was called Invention and Distribution in Contemporary Music. But what was your question? Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just making a terrible pun about masters. You know, master's degree.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that went over my head, too. I got you.
No, I didn't catch it. I think I'm clever, but I'm not clever.
Under the radar.
No, I like that. Good.
Ben comes in with those little sneaky ones that you got to kind of like pick out. Oh, I see what you
when you said, like, what are you without, playing bass? Like, what is Karina? I'm just a pun-generating machine. That's how I exist, and I'm cool with it.
I like that. I think
somehow my fiance is cool with it too, and that's kind of how I won her over. It was Sunday Pun Day, actually, after me and Luke had the idea for this Back to Basics at Woodhenge.
Oh man,
we were hanging out. Like you had left the night before. I still have y'all's tambourine, by the way.
What the hell, man? We've been looking for that for years, dude.
It's mine now. It's gone. I'll return it bell by bell. I'll send it to you in the mail like a finger.
That's yours. I'm having a blast here just shooting the shit with you, Karina, but you're a busy person. I'm sure you got places to be. I just have one more question for you pertaining to your badass custom bass.
Oh, look, here it is.
Can we take a look at it?
Yes.
Yeah, let's Google.
Swivel over to it. Don't mind.
Swivel on back to it, yeah.
So allow me to, here, hold on.
Yeah. That is the white and gold is so badass and
beautiful.
Unique.
Yeah. Wow. It's so fresh. And you see the KR on the 12th fret?
Ah.
Yeah. Screenshotted that.
Yeah.
Oof. Wow, with the gold tuning pegs.
Gold everything. I love gold.
So that's Zeke Guitars, right? That made that?
Exactly. He's a lovely gentleman. Zeke Guitars, fresh out of New Hope, Pennsylvania, home of Ween. He's built stuff for Dave Drywitz and for Diener, and Diener being Dean Ween for those who don't speak my strange language. And,
the language of Ween. Sometimes I get confused in the language of Ween. I feel like an outsider sometimes in that world. Okay. So thank you for the clarification.
No problem.
I think that's kind of the way that Ween is.
I think that's par for the course with Ween.
Outside is inside with them.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't want this to be another thing where I told you, the name of my thesis. And anyway.
But that's such a cool fucking name. Invention and distribution in the modern.
In contemporary music. That's close. That was already really good. Wow.
It's very cool. Great concept.
You college kids.
It's all great. It's all great. But yeah, the bass is fucking dope, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, he's like a 6th generation woodworker. His dad was a woodworker. His dad's dad was a woodworker. And normally he builds like cabinets.
Oh, wow.
And like cool ass like shit in people's houses, you know what I mean? It's like custom built to their specs. But then he's like a huge music fan, loves Ween, is friends with those guys, and by one degree of separation through Ween and Drywitz and me and the whole nine, like he just found his way to me and he just said, Karina, if you could have your dream bass, what would it be? And I was like, whoa. That's fucking cool, bro.
Wow.
Let me think about that.
Yeah, so did you model it like after anything specifically? Were you
Yeah.
like, what was your kind of idea there?
Well, I had this 78 P bass, which like for years was my Marco bass. That was
Right.
like when I joined the Marco band. Like before that, I literally just had again a metalhead, me, rock chick. I have a fucking, what do you call it? A Rickenbacker.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
Geddy Lee style.
Geddy Lee Rick. Yeah, exactly. Because that was my shit. And I was like, oh,
Badass.
perfect.
Hell
But
yeah.
like I played, in like rock and like heavy bands that didn't need like that low, like
Yeah, and you got the pick sound, right, for that hardcore punk metal kind of vibe, yeah.
a lot of that. So like that wasn't really working great in the whole Marco sphere. And like, thankfully, yeah, the world I was about to step into suddenly in some weird way. So I got this Fender 78, fucking awesome. Bought it with Dave Drywitz himself. We went shopping, we hit all the shops, and then we found it. And I was like, yeah, and like took the black pick guard off of it and put a gold pick guard on it because I love gold.
Badass.
And so I love that bass. That bass is fucking awesome, but it's so heavy and was destroying my poor thin frame. Like I was dying after every show. I was like, oh God, I'm crippled. I'm fucked. Like, and if I didn't stretch before and after every gig, it was like a problem,
Oh, those big ass old school basses, they are heavy as that. I have a custom boy here, and it's light as fuck, like short scale, light wood.
That's it.
And it's like it makes such a big difference every night.
Really
like
a thing,
you
right?
Yeah, it's a big thing. I'm not like a big guy either, so like it wears on you. I mean, you're standing and you're playing with energy, or you know what I mean? Like you don't want to be battling.
No, exactly. So I was like, I spent a good 3 years touring with that bass as my only bass, really, and just like kind of, putting miles and age on my spine. And I was like, this is not great. And that guy reached out just in time. And I just said, I basically want a lighter, shorter scale version of my P bass. And my P bass, like, it's kind of like, I think it's supposed to be white, but it's gotten aged, so it looks a little creamy. Yeah, and I was like, we need it white. And I
shiny.
Yeah. So, and then I was like, of course, everything that can be gold must be gold, including the frets, tuning pegs, the knobs, the whole nine. And it's killer, man. I really love it. It's just easy to play. It's shorter scale just by a tiny little bit, but
do you know the scale of it offhand?
I wish I did offhand. No, I got to look that up. Yeah. I'll DM it to you.
I'm just because mine is like, I'd never really experimented with short scale basses before either. And this one is 32. Like I usually play 34. And this is actually, he apprenticed under Carl Thompson, who made the Les Claypool basses.
Killer.
And so I got to meet him, and shout out MBJ Guitars, Joey Cruz. He's become a homie. I love working with him, and his bass is just all about balance. Like you put it on I got to go to Carl's shop a couple years ago and meet him, and he like gave me this Carl Thompson like right off the workbench, and he's like, put it on your leg, and he like moves my hands up, and he's like, see, it's perfectly balanced. He was like chilling with Yoda with Carl Thompson, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that balance and that comfortability, right? That physical aspect with the bass is so important too. So that makes a lot of sense that would be kind of your main. You got to be comfortable to rock the fuck out, right?
Totally. And I was, we were playing 2+ hour shows a night, like whatever. And I was jumping around like a lunatic every night. And it's just like, after the shows, I would be like, oh, Jesus. And then after a tour, I would come out like lopsided and all fucked up. And I'm too young for that shit, fellas. Yeah. I'm too young for it.
Yeah.
So we needed to have a hard reset over here. And
I had
guitars, man.
Do it now before, you know what I mean? Like 10 years down the road, and you can't like get up in the morning. Like
totally. I can't be crippled because of the fucking rocking, dude. It's not right. You can't have that. So,
switch to cello and on it, and whatever.
I feel like that everything you do, like any repetitive stress bullshit, like it's gonna fuck you up a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But this helps. This definitely helps. So,
I had
cool. That's super interesting to hear that background. Yeah, very cool bass. Thanks for that insight.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a lighter one, and I switched to the 5-string, which was definitely heavier. And you guys are making me think about getting my own personal one. It must be really cool to have one that was made for you and with you in mind, and adds that element to it. Instruments and basses are like they're Harry Potter wands. You have the unicorn tail in there or whatever, and your gold and everything to have the.
Do you have a unicorn tail in yours, Karina? Was that a hint of unicorn gold I could see there?
Yeah.
Or was it...
It's under, actually, if you like turn around, it's not an active bass, but there is like the little where the battery would go. There's a unicorn tail in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So and like the gold, maybe a little shaved off of a unicorn horn. That's good gold.
That's great.
Yep.
It's great. It's great. It really holds up. It adds a little bit of pep in my step. You know,
Yeah.
It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that
Wow,
explains,
the
the
secret ingredient.
unicorns have one horn. You only had to do one take for each track, so.
Me. Yo, remember what I
We
said?
got there.
One take, right? That's me.
Love
Right.
it.
Oh, no.
Wow. And so these new tracks, obviously, this is your bass, right? This is yeah, cool. Oh, great. Well, I can't wait to hear them.
Thanks. I'm stoked. Yeah. And I somewhere along the line, I got this as a gift, actually, very, very kind gift. I got a Mustang, a 69 Mustang,
Oh yeah.
which is super sick. And like that guy is, shorter scale, sounds fucking awesome. But the thing that's a little fucked up about it, like you were saying, the balance of it just physically, like the neck is so much heavier than the body that if you have it on, it's just like, kind of lopsided, which is all good. But that is a very good studio instrument as well. So, and
you don't have to play it for 2 hours. You can like get it out, take a take, and then put it back, and you don't have to fucking wear it for 2 hours. Yeah,
totally. And you can do it seated. Like, not that I necessarily condone doing that because I feel like you don't get as much, oomph or something like that. I don't know. I feel like, do whatever.
Are you jumping around and rocking out in the studio on these new
I'm like,
tracks?
yo, what?
Just like
Yo.
jumping on the mixing board, like headbanging. They're like, yo, damn.
Actually, all bullshit aside, I think I sat for most of the time. But don't tell anybody. Don't tell. We try to keep up.
This goes out to trust us. We have very few listeners. And we appreciate each one of every one of you.
Well, they're gonna miss out if they miss this episode. Let me tell you, they're just missing out on all.
I'll have Rafi on it. She'll take care of it.
She's gonna kill it. She's gonna
Yep.
kill it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, Karina. Ben, if you
I've
have
really
anything
enjoyed
else
this a
around-
lot.
But yeah, so cool to hang and get to actually meet you as a fan for a while too. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for being our bass bud.
Hey,
Yeah, we're bass buds now. You're part of a very special inner circle with us now.
It's really beautiful thing, and you guys don't hesitate to reach out. If you
Yeah,
need
absolutely.
anything.
I'm definitely gonna connect with you more about questions that I have coming up, and just ideas and sharing horror stories about Marco with Jeremy and things like that. We'll get it all in there.
Yo, that guy was out of hand in the
Yeah.
art transport vehicle. That guy was out of hand.
And that
dude.
gold unicorn he was with, I don't know what I was on, but
Those guys are not right, man. They're not right.
Never
Like,
again.
I know.
Never again.
yeah, because as touring musicians, we've never had a night of tequila. That's right, Luke. We didn't do that last time we played in
I don't
Buffalo
think there
at
was
all.
any tequila
No,
involved.
none of that. Well, by the end there wasn't.
Oh my god, that's
By
it.
the end of the night, there was no left. Yeah, no.
Yep.
Totally. Well, yeah. If you see Jeremy before I do, which you probably will, but I feel like I've never really talked that whole night out with him. But
You won't shut up about it. You'd be like, these guys, they were on it, and like they were riffing back and forth. It was like being inside of a stand-up comedy special on Netflix with the Tweedledee and Marco B. It was
Exactly. Just like some real twisted stuff, man. I
Yep.
just don't even know.
He remembers that day fondly. He talks
That's great.
about it a lot. Yep.
We'll have to edit in his perspective of the.
Yeah. Oh, hey guys. Yeah.
Please do. Can you add him like down here at fourth corner?
Yep.
Like Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. Yeah. It's like.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But he and Greg bum rushed, and when I say bum rushed, I mean we're delightfully invited and crushed I had this jam room on Jam Cruise or whatever.
Yeah. I stopped by at that.
Before time, remember the before time when we
I
had
do.
dates and stuff?
I do. Back when I would go on a cruise, and now I will never go again because I don't want to get stuck.
Never again.
Oh
That was
my
it.
God, yeah.
Done.
That was the last one.
It was fun though. Ghost Note killed their Super Jam too. Everyone's jam was amazing.
So fun. Fun. And so I feel like we stayed up very late drinking tequila. Us, didn't we? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what happened that night, but that was fun.
We were on a boat, so it's all
Who
it's
knows?
surrounded by the buffer of water. No leaf blowers in sight, so everything was up.
Rates only. Rates.
They never let me on Jam Cruise. I show up every year, and I'm like, yeah, I'm playing the bass. And they're like, dude, no, we told you last year. Like, I wave goodbye to the boat, and
You're
True. Is that true? You're
No,
lying.
no, but I've always wanted to sneak on Jam Cruise. I mean, playing would be cool, but I don't know. I kind of want to just like pop out of somebody's luggage one day.
well. I was gonna say I'm gonna start playing stand-up bass just so I can pretend to bring it on, and I'll just shove you in the case.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ben. I'm sorry to see you, but I'm your +1 on the next Jam Cruise.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We just got engaged before this last one, and this was like our engagement honeymoon, and it was pretty magical. So yeah, you're
That's
totally
awesome.
on for next year. We're
Okay,
good.
good. So she's had that. Yeah, we can have this.
We
Great.
got it in.
Thank you.
We're good.
Perfect.
We're good to go.
I
I
can't wait.
love seeing a plan unfold, and nice.
Beautiful, right? Yep.
Great.
This time next
It's
year.
a blossoming bromance, Karina.
And you know who
that's what we got here.
you know who I'm the +1 for is Billy.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so it's all we're gonna just keep tagging along. Each person
Exactly.
gets a
And
+1 for their +1.
You guys will make beautiful bird calls together, and
Oh yeah. Oh, I like
I
that.
love when Billy does the bird calls.
Oh
It's
my
so
God,
amazing.
yeah.
You're just like,
We-
wow.
Have you ever checked out any of his like stridulation performances with his percussion ensembles in New York
Yes.
or anything?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've seen him do a number of really bizarre things for sure
Yeah.
that are like amazing. And we played in Japan in November of last year at this crazy festival called it's called the FRUE Fest, but it translates to shaking of the brain. And like it was us and a bunch of people you probably have never heard of, and Billy Martin doing like some thing where he conducted a bunch of people into dissonance and harmony all at the same time.
Wow.
And like
So
it was
cool.
kind of similar to like all those, those performances. It was nuts. A lot of bird calls. Weird shit.
Oh, I love it. Well,
We're
Dan, we could just keep going. I have so many other interesting things, but
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to have you back at some point.
yeah, absolutely.
Anytime, fellas. Thank you for having me. This
Yeah,
is
thank you
super
so
fun.
much.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much, Karina. We'll be in touch.
Don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
Either.
All right, see ya.
Okay, bye,
Bye,
Karina.
guys. Take
Thank
care.
you. See ya.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. All right.
That was
Karina
dope, man.
Rykman. That was even more fun than I anticipated.
I was a little nervous this morning. I was just like, I mean, she's younger and like we're all in the scene and everything, but we've known some of the other people, even Mark Brownstein I've talked to and like hung out
That
with.
was the first time actually like talking to Karina.
Yeah, exactly, and it
Yeah.
felt very natural. And again, part of
Yeah.
what the joy of this is, we're eventually hoping to get some merch and get
Yeah.
sponsors or whatever, and make this a thing where we literally have to put out more episodes for all of our adoring fans or
Yes.
fan or whoever, Tony
Or a
High,
fan.
whoever else out there. But yeah, so that we're doing it more often. But the real joy of this is connecting with other bassists, and
Totally.
we're a certain type of breed of musician where we're all very friendly and open, but you can kind of keep to ourselves a little bit, and to bring this in and bring people together, and talking about Les Claypool with his like stylistic approach and in life and in general, it's we all try to do things a little differently. I feel, even if we're following along a path, it's like just our own interpretation, and to kind of compare notes is a really special thing to be able to do.
Yeah, it really is so interesting, and obviously, it's a bass podcast, but we use that as our foundation, and with every pun intended. And but it is just such an interesting. It's just interesting to hear other bassists' perspective on music and life and everything. And for somebody like Karina, that's young but has accomplished so much and has played with so many next level musicians, and just to hear her perspective, and she's so humble and just cool and down to earth. It really is. It really is fucking cool to be able to get to know other bassists on a more personal level. So, and I hope it's fun for our listeners to be able to get that little window in.
Yeah,
and
and
some really interesting stories there.
In all seriousness, I'm going to reach out to Rafi and see if she wants to help out, or at least just give me advice. I think this is the week I try to start working on. I have things set up. I actually ran my 200-foot Ethernet cable from the basement up here so that my Wi-Fi could be next to my computer, where it's fastest. I've learned a lot about internet speed tests while setting up this house, and
good for you.
Interesting where you are here versus there. Where things pick up and they let down. I have a repeater, and I'm all adulty and stuff. It's cool.
Great. Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while, and now it's great to get back in the saddle here. So let's get this pod out any way we can.
Yeah, and I'm gonna start reaching out just to people I see on like Instagram. There's this guy Gordon something or other, and just like send messages to kind of connect. Be like, hey, we have this thing, and just see if they're interested. And even if it's a initial reach out, and then 6 months later we connect with them, I think that's helpful. So if there's people that even reach people, maybe we, for something like Les Claypool, we wait until we put something together. But I'm gonna kind of start talking to people. And I was thinking, we should try to get one in next week if we can.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Let's keep
How was
the
your?
train rolling.
Have we talked since you did your drive-in?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
How'd that go? Because now we got a couple coming up.
I saw. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was kind of like a test run. It was like a no pressure situation. It was in Lake George. It was like a private event. Yeah, Lake George is the best. It was kind of near like where the Adirondack Festival was. But it was more of like a private. They're doing more events there now, but this was different. This is almost like a trial run, and we were into it because we've had a lot of offers for drive-ins, and we've been playing it pretty cautiously and kind of waiting to test the waters and see how it goes before we commit to anything. But this was one we felt really good about from the jump. Just with their production team, we knew them, and Dave Eamon and those guys, and they do it proper, and they really did. And it was kind of cool to not even have, like, we weren't allowed to promote it on Facebook through our socials, like in our specialist Facebook group and with like email private lists. So there was kind of that element of, yeah, cool, there's less pressure and let's just see how it goes. And it was really cool. I gotta say, it was everyone seemed to be pretty good about the social distancing. You know, at the end of the night, maybe more people were getting out of their cars and kind of walking around, but there was, people had their masks on, just talking to patrons. People felt safe and able to bring their children there.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. And they, from a production standpoint, they had like the 2 screens, so people further in the back in this big field could see it. It was done with like there was FM transmitters, but there was also these small speakers, these thin like little line speakers.
Oh, I've seen those. They're actually pretty badass.
They're very cool, and whoever invented that shit is doing really well in this new like age of drive-ins.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was interesting to test the water. It just felt really good to play music for our fans and be able to see people. And like we brought a bunch of just random merch that we had like not in our merch shop in Vermont. We have our online store set up now, so we've been shipping stuff out. But everything we brought, we sold out of.
Nice. That's awesome. It's really good to hear.
Yeah, it was cool. So we're seeing what's next. We have some other options for drive-ins. I'll let everyone know like here on the podcast when we lock it in, but we've got some conversations started, but we're waiting to see how things go. So yeah, I was curious to ask you, Pigeons has 3 coming up now, right?
Yep.
You guys have got Philly, Cape Cod, and Auburn, New York.
Yeah, the one in Cape Cod is like technically in Yarmouth, I guess. Or...
Yeah, Yarmouth. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know much about that hoity-toity white world, but coming from inner city Baltimore.
Yeah, Cape Cod, the Cape, baby, lobster
yeah.
world.
Yeah, we got 2 shows there. One in Auburn, so upstate New York, and then one in Philly. And I'm excited to get back out there and play. And I feel like some of the training I've been doing and working on teaching and learning at home, it's been translating in practice. I've been feeling a lot better, more confident to like sit back and do what I need to do when I do it, and then push out and do other things later. And there's other elements I'm not going to yet add to our touring aspect, but it's going to be nice to just kind of get back in with what we've been doing and see where it comes. We're recording a couple of things to have for like festivals, for streaming, I believe, as well, coming up. But yeah, it's been really good to kind of both low pressure, be getting back together with the guys and jamming without an event coming up or coming right off tour or going into tour. It kind of reminds me of the old days of when we would just get together and just write music. And even when we had Dan, our old drummer, like we've done that with Alex when we've had downtime, but since he started joining, we've been touring the whole time. So it's like we're having this opportunity to, yes, we have shows coming up and we're trying to write songs and like work on things for that, but practice once or twice a week with not no expectations, because we want to work and develop, and we're sending music across Logic with each other and trying to hone in. But it's just a really cool time to take a step back in order to like take a step forward,
And is it kind of it's kind of like just falling in love with like why you started the band to begin with.
Exactly. Like what works so well about it is kind of what comes through. And it's hard, especially we've been adding more people in, so we have these other elements that are rightfully so, they're seeing a different perspective than what we have, so they might notice that I've been getting more jaded, or that someone else is more of an space cadet. That's obvious, but like it comes into play more, so we have this other energy coming in, and now it's just the 4 of us again, and our crew and our team is incredible. But I feel like tightening up the core 4, then when we get back out there, it's just going to kind of, everything is going to feel a lot smoother, and we'll find out firsthand. But I know I'm in a much better place personally, and I'm excited to get out there, and obviously want to be safe. And my big concern was making sure that it's well staffed for security purposes. I don't want anyone going there thinking they're going to be safe and then not being safe. I heard about something in Ohio where it just wasn't organized that well, and things got bad. My friend who's a videographer was there, and he was like pissed off, and he had to be like the bad guy, being like, what the fuck are you guys doing? This isn't okay. And I don't want anyone to feel that way, from staff to audience. And I did the very advisable thing in our position where I started reading Facebook comments about something and getting all of the comments and being like, oh, this is going to go great. This will be a very good thing to do for my mental health and making me feel good about it. And sure enough,
that's what Facebook does. Makes you just feel good mentally.
Yeah, it's a real feel good. It's like, Lunatic
real nice
Sunshine over
refresher.
here.
Yeah,
Facebook,
Facebook has been a real joy lately.
But I'm just reading people's comments about like, oh, well, this is gonna suck or that's gonna suck. It's like, dude, then don't come. Like, we're making this safe so that we can keep doing it in the future. We hope it's financially viable. We hope it works out for us and for others. It is maybe a little more expensive than some shows. It's not honestly that much more with everything considered.
But it's a new fucking world.
And
so
if you can't afford it,
with it or don't. It's like,
or just if you want to take that risk, then do it. If you want to wait to see what happens and do it, like, it's all good. Like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have a good time. If there's 5 people there, we'll play a badass show. If there's 500 people there, we'll play a badass show, and everyone's gonna be safe is the most important part, and we'll see what happens. And,
it's all you can do, man. It's you can take all the make sure that the precautions are in place. You want to feel good about it going up to it. Do the best job you can there. You hope that the patrons and the fans do that. The internet is just bored people being angry.
Exactly, and that's what I knew that. I knew that going into it, but it felt good to kind of like see that and just be like, you know what, kindly fuck right off. I didn't comment more than at one point I popped in and like said one thing. It's just like, I like when people are just really shit talking someone and I pop in and be like, hey, I exist as a human. What's up? I'm here. Some people see that, and some people don't care. Some people do, but.
And it's we're starting to kind of see some of the psychological effects of this quarantine, and it's pretty ugly and pretty depressing to see how people are treating each other and this lack of empathy and compassion that on Facebook. And there's been a lot of really ugly shit, and it sucks. And I hate to be such a fucking downer right now after we just had like a really positive, great
I'm about to post on Facebook about this. I'm gonna write right there. Right. So Luke is talking about how negative everyone is on Facebook. Fuck him. Let's cancel him.
Yeah, please, cancel me. I'd love to delete my fucking Facebook account. I've like told my management team, I'm like, everybody else can do the Facebook now. It's like, I am not gonna do it anymore.
Well, that's the other thing, with the drive-in shows too. It's like when we're younger and more doing it ourselves, and you have to when you're starting out, like, run a lot of the stuff and figure out how the shows are gonna work and this and that. But at the level currently where I'm at with Pigeons, I can trust things. Greg's on a lot of the stuff with Dave and Jeremy, and they talk about it, and I get involved.
You guys are all super fucking hands-on with everything.
Yeah, but it's also like the point should be that when we get up there, we just get to focus on the music, and that's what everything works towards. And I think in recent years, we've gotten closer to that. They're still doing everything with Dome Fest and things like that, so that takes up a lot of time. But I'm really looking forward to the drive-ins. Like, there's people. We've talked about what we expect and what we want, and there's people to do that, and we can just go set up and play and don't have to really worry about that as much. And
you guys have gotten now to that point a little bit, right, where you've been able to get together and play. And I mean, that's like the traditional role of management is supposed to take that weight off the musicians so they can focus on the music. But no matter what, I mean, we're not at the same level of Pigeons, and but we're involved with it. We have people to help us, but I mean, and I'm also just kind of a control freak. I kind of want to have a say in how our art and music is put out there and all that. But taking a step back from social media and promoting shows, like especially in the first few weeks of quarantine, was really positive, like for my mental health, and I could feel that. And we've been able to get together, and like we've talked about on the podcast, we've been getting together for. We had a few weeks quarantine back from Colorado, but then we were careful. But the three of us have been getting together regularly, and in the same sense, I mean, just writing again. We've been writing more.
Yeah.
Some of the projects that I had mentioned to you that I guess I can kind of say now is that I can't say exactly what it is or when it's happening, but we nailed down a record contract, and so we're going to be releasing a new album in 2020, the year of our Lord.
The year of our pandemic, 2020.
Yeah. But so that's been really cool. And
that's really cool. I'm excited to hear that.
It's been exciting to just write and just finish all these other projects. But the thing that's been really exciting and fun is that we've been working on a film score for Vice.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not 100% confirmed that it's going to be a part of this series on Vice, but we have a lot of music, and we've been working on it with a director friend of mine, Alex Megaro. He's a documentary filmmaker that we were actually suite mates in Long Island University. He was a film major, and so I mentioned him on the podcast once. We did a short song called Spooky Cabin for a movie he made, and so we've always just been in touch, and I've kind of always hoped that he would hit us up and tap us for a project. But he hit me up, and we had this long conversation where he's doing a found footage documentary for Vice, And in the same, he's like, the film industry is ravaged. He would go and be showing his documentaries at festivals, but there's no festivals anymore. So
Right.
we were both kind of got to share in that. Yeah, no more festivals this summer. So let's just create art. So he's making all these found footage documentaries, and Vice loves it because they don't have to pay a production team. These guys scour the internet, and every episode is a different theme, really interesting stuff. And so he hit us up and said, would you be interested in potentially working on this project? And I was like, we would love to. It's always been a dream of mine to work on film scoring. And so we're working on this episode that's on the Australian bushfires.
Cool.
So it's visually so intense.
That's when the world was falling apart before the world fell apart.
Exactly. And I mean, people think like there was apocalyptic vibes, like, going to Stop and Shop in New England during pandemic. Like, nah, like check out Australia in the bushfires. I mean, like there's like health and rescue footage. There's like military footage of planes dropping the chemicals to put out the flames. So the vibe is all like very dark, tense, apocalyptic.
And pardon
wild.
for the levity in all this seriousness, but that shit's fire.
Dude, I mean, this shit is fire. It's been really fucking cool experience. And whatever happens with the director is so happy with it, but it has to get that Vice approval.
Sure.
And so no matter what happens, if it gets approved or not, it's still been such a cool, interesting project.
And you started along a path of something
Exactly.
that I know you've dreamed about and I've dreamed about too is writing more for that.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, and we have now enough music to put out like another album or EP if we want, and I think we're gonna do something with all this music, just because we have it, and it's just such a different way to write.
I've had an idea, especially in this time, doing it like podcast release style, where once a week or once a month, it's like the new song will be coming out, and we Pigeons isn't at that point yet. Maybe Schwa can get that at that point. We're actually. I just had the idea yesterday on my bike ride while listening to the Andy Frasco podcast, which starts with Ryan Stasik, who'd be another great guest to have.
Yeah, I would love to have him.
That was a nice little interesting talk. But his Doom Flamingo, a friend, put out a comic book about them, and I was thinking,
I saw somebody, my homie Ross I love Doom Flamingo, but I saw them sharing some really cool animation thing.
Yeah, I want to, me and Owen were talking about, what is Schwa and like how do we show? We're doing like videos, like infomercial style of like, this is. Have you ever gone to a show and felt like this, black and white? Just like beer spilling on you. Well, come to a Schwa show, and then it's just still beer spilling on you, but you're having a good time or whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
But then adding in like a comic book style thing too. So
yeah.
There's a lot of room, and Schwa's gonna, we aren't anywhere close to this yet, but after Home Fest, people are like, where can I get your music? I'm like, cool, we're putting out an EP this summer, check it out. And Owen sees it, he's watching the stream, he's like, so apparently we're putting out an EP this summer. I was like, well,
what EP is that?
So we talked about summer ends September 21st at midnight, so we have till then to put out an EP. So
good deadline.
Kind of locked it in there, but it's a cool time to be working on this stuff. I'm loving the space. I got to get curtains because right now I just put this painting in front of my window because it was causing light.
It's doing the job.
It's blocking the AC too, so I'm sitting here schwitzing.
You're hot right now.
But yeah, I'm excited to have this space develop and work more on music and put things together. But in the meantime, I gotta pee.
Yeah, and I gotta get ready for a lesson. But dude, it's been great to touch base, get back to basics a little bit here today. Feels good. Let's touch him. Yep.
Yeah, and we got to let's try. Are you plugged in? You want to try another episode of us figuring out our theme song?
It's just gonna be an ongoing process where we figure out what the sound is.
Yeah.
I should be all good to go. Can
I
you hear me?
I had this locked in my loop pedal, so this could also be part of it too. Let's see.
Can you hear me? Do I have volume?
Yeah, you have volume, sir, both in an illustrious nature and a volumetric manner, sir.
Oh, and now my hair. Wait, can I show you my haircut before we end?
No.
I got a haircut yesterday.
Show me.
Okay. It's short. I don't know what it's got. I got out of the shower with a hat on, but.
Look at that.
Yeah, I guess that's the look.
You look like the doll, that red-haired doll thing from Sesame Street.
Wow,
the guy
I wasn't
was
expecting it to look like that, but
yeah, that's good. Good thing you didn't take your hat off and show that to Karina. You might have.
I think she would have left.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay, I didn't know you looked like that.
Yeah, like, I'm out of here.
Done. Podcast over.
Ready?
All right. Yeah.
So here so I'll go first. I'm Ben.
And I'm Luke.
And this is Back to Basics.
What? What was that?
That actually was
That was fire, dude.
when I was back at my place, I put together. I saw Eli playing "Changes" by Tupac, and so I put it together on my loop pedal, and I loved it so much. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I played. I haven't deleted it from my loop pedal yet, so I haven't been able to loop because it's great, but it's just the.
Let me hear it. Oh yeah, dude, that's fire.
So this is our theme song. But then. And then, courtesy of my friend Luke, I got this pedal.
Now harmonious, baby. Yeah, son. Dude, this should just be our theme song. It should be your version of Changes. That's amazing.
I can also just send you the a recording of that, and you can jam over it too. We can just do different parts. I could keep that as the background, and I'll do like a section, and you'll do a section. We can go back and forth. But I'm down.
Can we do a mashup of Tupac Changes and Thundercat Them Changes?
Yes. So you'll do the them changes part. Perfect. And that's actually exactly.
It's already perfect.
That's what we were going for. Is let's just clash as much as possible and play as much bass as it. So ready? 1, 2. Them changes and changes.
That's how you wrap up a bass podcast. Oh, you even got the reverse boys cooking now? Let's go.
Yeah, and that was the whole episode of.
Love it.
Bye, Karina. Hi, Karina.
All
Well,
right.
we'll see you next time on Back to Basics. Thanks for touching base, all y'all out there. And Luke, I missed you, buddy. Let's do this again before 2021.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. You were recording, right?
You were.
See it. Oh, but we should have you always record to cloud. I meant to do that before.
Yeah,
totally forgot.
Totally. I literally I saw recording the whole time, so I know we're recording.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
yeah,
Likely story, buddy.
let's hope.